I lost the audio.
Yeah, I think the network is a little bit
it's a bit shaky.
trouble. Yeah.
Okay, so where is the host?
I don't know. He's online. He's on the line, but I think
Maybe he
not
has a
talking.
network issue.
Michael
Yes.
Sadek is the host. It's on, but
Okay, I think wait, see, maybe he should type. Let's try to send him a message, to a text message, to find out what's happening.
all right. Well, I'm driving home. Driving.
Okay, yeah, I'll try to send a message to him.
Yeah, I'm online. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
Is he on?
So, good morning.
Yeah. Firstly, I'm going to mail
Okay.
Okay. I think our moderator is online too. Anyway, my name is Michael Shodeke. I'm a registered football agent in Nigeria. I'm registered with Nigeria Football Federation. I've been in this business for over a decade, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to this wonderful discussion. Our moderator is online, the person of Olushola Adebayo.
We are not hearing you, Sadek.
Okay. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yeah, I said our moderator is online, in person of Olushola Adebayo. He's a seasoned broadcaster, a media personnel, and the CEO of Sports Spreader Media Outfit. So, Shola, over to you. Shola? The meeting will start by 10 past 11.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Clearly.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Can hear you.
All right. All right. I'm really sorry for the little delay in coming on. It's just about technicalities here because I'm not on. I can't even hear myself, so I need to be sure people are listening. Anyways, this is just 10 minutes past 11 from here in Lagos. I am Olushola Adebayo. I'll be the moderator for today's edition of another Amphitheatre Sports Virtual Debate. And today we are looking at the topic, the new FIFA regulations, way forward for agents from Africa, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I want to be sure, is everybody on now? Is everybody on, or we can just go on with the field that I'm seeing here, the host?
Yeah, but we're not seeing your picture.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me see how it goes from here. Can you see me now?
Of course, we can see you.
I can see you. I can see you now.
Yeah.
Your face cap.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Also sports.
Okay, you are welcome. Also sports.
Thank you.
I see you. I also learned that Rudolph is online. Is Rudolph with us now?
Yeah, it's online.
Okay. Ambassador Michael Shodeka is the host of this event, and I want to take permission from you. Can we go ahead now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. FIFA regulation is in proposal stage number 2 already, and they are going to be commencing proposal review number 3. And before everything is done and dusted, it's good we have this discussion so that agents from Africa can actually make an impact, contribute to it, and then find their surviving level among the rest of the agents. So we have to bring in a lot of debaters on board so that we can have dialogues on the topic, the new FIFA regulations, way forward from Africa, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let me quickly introduce the debate so that the event can go on smoothly as expected. Rashid Mikhtar from Morocco will be joining us. Kassoum Abdullahi from the Niger Republic will be joining us as well, while Emmanuel Iyabam from Nigeria will join in. We expect contributions from Dosu Yuvu Elikplane from Togo, then Lan Unzabwa Sebrufun from Uganda, Eddie Ogbemudia from Nigeria, then Zenga Global 2 will join from Nigeria. We also expect contribution from Arthur Oliver from Ghana, then Moran Metiwa from Botswana, then Faisa Hussein Swali from Kenya. Then we'll be taking reactions from everyone around. And from the list, I have Obike Charles will be joining from Nigeria, Ambassador Ghana Mohammed from the Niger Republic, Alex Ezekiah from Nigeria, Abukad Sidibe from Nigeria as well. Then from the Niger Republic, then Sidin Sabo from the Niger Republic, while Blake Jolomi from Nigeria, then Abdul Akim Akimbade from Nigeria, then Ayodeji Akim Akerele from Nigeria. All right, I can see Ayodeji Akerele online. I can hopefully others will join us. Then we'll. So where do we start from? But let me also introduce special recognition from Peter Peleogo, President of Australia Football Agents Association, that is AFA. Then Roberto Blanco Martins, General Counsel to the European Football Agents Association, EFA. Then we will also be taking contributions and commentary from Tariq Janovic, FIFA representative. Then Luis Villas-Boas, also representing FIFA. Then Victor Rodrigo, another FIFA representative. You can see that we have lots of resource persons that will be doing justice to this topic, and I believe it's going to be all encompassing. Then it will be good for the future of representing players as a profession and the community and the landscape of football for everyone that is involved in football business. All right, where will we start from? Let me bring on board Michael Shodeka, the host. Can you unmute the... Hello.
You are on. You are on. You are on.
Hello.
Shola,
Okay.
You are on.
Michael, I'm looking at. Can we the introductory to the topic? Who is going to help us with that? Because I'm not so sure of our debaters online presently. All the names I'm seeing here, none of them is online.
Most of them are online. You can just call on.
Okay, I can just start on. All right, let me start from the name I can see. I can see Unzoa. Can you unmute the microphone for Unzoa so that you can take the first shot? Unzoa, good morning from here. How is your day? It's over?
Oh, is that me maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Top one.
You're welcome.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Moran, Moran Ntoyiwa.
Untoyiwa, okay. Moran Untoyiwa.
Ntoyiwa.
Good morning.
Good,
Untoyiwa.
yes. Good
I
morning
will
to,
learn that with time.
yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, good
Now,
morning. How are you? Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
How do you want to start? New FIFA regulations way forward for agents from Africa, the good, bad, and the ugly. To start.
Yes. Yeah, first of all, thank you for welcoming me to the platform. Thank you for the invitation to be part of this this meeting. Very much appreciated. I was hoping that there will be a full introduction, maybe by the host, as to how we should be debating this. What sort of areas we need to focus on, and so that we maybe navigate us as to how we should be responding to. Are there any specific sections of the regulations that we need to look at? Or are we holistically looking at the whole package of the regulations?
All right, Mutoiwa, that's a start already. And this is how we run. Let me quickly break that down. This section is for the general introduction of the topic from our debaters, the way they want to view it, the part that really interests them in the whole of the new regulations as proposed by FIFA, so that other people joining in can have a glimpse of what we will be looking at. Then there will be a section where we will now look at the general discussion, going to specifics and how to tackle those specific area. I'll be asking those questions and issued by other debaters. Then others can also react. It depends on what comes out. But as we are, this session is just for you to look at the whole topic more from the angle of an introductory session, so that those that are not agents that are listening in can understand what we have on board.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much for the clarification. I think, as we are well aware, for now we are operating with the rules and regulations, on intermediary, where associations are licensing their own agents or agents within their associations. Now, before we had, the intermediary rules and regulations, there were regulations on agents. It used to be called agents before there was intermediaries. And then FIFA decided to change these rules and regulations to have intermediaries. So with that, there was no requirement to have any examinations. And in terms of also insurance, there was, nothing that was required, as well. Now, with these new rules and regulations, we're really basically going back to the old, where we used to write exams. And then, also we're going to be looking at who can become an agent. How do you become an agent? You can become an agent by, if you didn't write exams before, if you are not a FIFA agent before, that was, up to 2014. Then you are required to write an examination. And then before you can write an examination, then, we're going to be looking at, or FIFA are going to be looking at, the character of, the person. They're going to look and see if you are suitable to be an agent. They're going to be looking into, whether your finances, maybe you've been bankrupt before and things like that. If you have any like pending issues with courts and things like that. So that is the character part of it. And then they are also going to be looking into insurance. You need to make sure that you have insurance that covers up to about 10% of your revenue, which cannot be less than 100,000 Swiss francs. This is what it was before anyway. So either you have that amount of money as guarantee in a bank account, or you can also have an insurance that covers, at a minimum of 1,000 Swiss francs. So these are some of the requirements, that are needed by FIFA rules and regulations.
Everybody, the new regulations, right?
Yes.
All right. Let me bring on board another speaker. Kasso Abdullahi, is Kasso Abdullahi with us? Kasso Abdullahi from Niger Republic. Okay. If Kasso is not there, let Sebastian. Sebastian, I host on mute, Sebastian.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Sebastian, let's look at the introduction of the new FIFA regulations you want to let us in that Sioiwa has not mentioned.
Yeah, I'm just listening. I'm observing to know exactly what's the new regulation. So I'm just trying to listen and know what is going on yet.
Okay. Thank you, because I've seen you've been online since of. Okay, let me bring on board Emmanuel Uyabam. Is Emmanuel Uyabam with us?
No. Let me explain something.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, as an agent, a registered agent in Nigeria, my observation from the new FIFA regulation, from the title becoming a football agent, you see the general provision. That's why I think we should talk more on becoming a football agent, the general provision, the normal liability insurance policy, the paying an annual fee to FIFA. That is one of the problems. The African agents we have from the new regulation, the paying of an annual fee to FIFA, because most of African agents don't, or most of them will not perform transfer annually. Some are still learning from this profession. So FIFA need to look at that and do something to it. They continue professional development, the training. So FIFA should do something on that too. Then the earning of 20 credits in a calendar year, something like that, is something FIFA should look at it and tell us how the way an agent will gain the credit, the point. The service fee cap, which is FIFA want to bring it down to 3%. So FIFA should look at that. In Africa here, agents used to invest on players before taking them into professional level. So FIFA need to look at that too. And the CBD credit will be help. It was not clearly FIFA from the draft. It wasn't stated clearly how the CBD credit will be earned by every agent. So I think FIFA should look at that too. So, and then all of us should look at it and talk more on our views in that aspect. That's my observation for now. Over to you, Shola.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Let me go back to Inso Iwa, and I really want to know the African agent. How does being an African and an agent at the same time differ from being an agent elsewhere? Because if you are looking at the FIFA regulations and an agent from Africa, is there any difference being an agent in Africa and being an agent elsewhere? I'm referring to Nso Iwa to help us on this one now.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, you are on now.
Yes, yes. Thank you again for the invitation to respond. First of all, I don't know if I've properly introduced myself. Okay, Moran.
Okay, you can do
Yes, Moran Ntoiwa is my name, and I am registered in Botswana by the Botswana Football Association. However, I have lived, most of the last 3 decades in Europe. So most of my work is really done around Europe. That is at the scope, at which I work. Now, when we look at the rules and regulations, the FIFA rules and regulations that FIFA are proposing. Can you hear me?
I can hear
All
you.
right, okay, yes. The FIFA rules and regulations, we need to understand that, okay, fine, they are going to apply across the board. They're going to apply to each and every agent, across the world. If we look at why some of these rules and regulations have been set up, if you look at maybe one of the reasons is to raise the minimum professional and ethical standards for the occupation of football agents. I mean, really and truly, after FIFA, they did away with the agent and they introduced the intermediary. It became a little bit of a jungle out there in terms of player representation. We found maybe a few agents who were working with players who were not up to scratch. So really and truly, if you bring these rules and regulations, I think it is going to benefit. It's going to benefit those who are really working as professionals to work with football players. The quality of their work, I believe, is going to improve. Now, going back to my colleague, Mr. Michael Sodeke, yeah, he was talking about the FIFA fee. Yes, there's going to be a FIFA fee, which I believe is about 600 Swiss francs. And then, also CPD. Like this CPD, that brings, us back again to, continuous, learning. If you're going to be professional, development. So in order for us to be, up to date with what is happening, I think it is imperative, depending on what is going to be there. I think it's imperative for people in any profession to continue to be learning, to continue to be up to date with what is happening. Now, let me refer specifically with the amounts of money which is being referred to here. Yes, for those who are starting, especially in Africa, it can be a steep amount of money, or not only in Africa, for anyone really who is starting a business. This amount of money, the FIFA fee, plus the insurance policy, and all these costs, they can be a little bit steep. Now, I think my input here, I don't know if it will augur well to everyone, is that I think it will be good for people to work with others, work with other people who are maybe established already. If you are starting, if you are an agent who is going to be starting their business, plug into something that already works, learn, because learning is part of it. Learn, make sure that you get the connections and everything, and also get the resources that are needed. That can be, I don't know, maybe for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years. Once you are able now to run solo, you are able to, now you have maybe the connections that are needed, because football is also about connections. When you start with no money, with no connections, it's going to be very, very difficult. But once you plug onto something that is already a system that's already working, you can work with another agent, for example, who's been in the business for some time. You learn the trade along the way. You earn along the way, and then once you've established, then you can now start your own. I think that's what I think. It's my own personal perspective of things, but I don't know if it's okay for others. Thank you.
Okay, Oja Benedict, are you there with us? Oja Benedict. Thank you, Unsoiwa, for that contribution. Let me go to another so that we can get other people's reaction and their perspective on the issues that we just raised. Hello?
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, you are very audible, loud and clear.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
Hello?
I came in late and sorry, I came in late. I was a bit busy. I had something on my desk. I had to clear it. And just joining in, I would like to hear what others are saying about the whole regulation, the new regulation that has been set up, and how we're going to key in. With that, I will be more enlightened and then refreshed to like throw in ideas, because gone through this.
Okay, you are not that audible, you are not that audible, but you are clear for us.
And a bit difficult for those of us, especially who are from Africa. And as a starter, hear me.
Hello, not that audible, but I get of the message that you want to listen to other stuff, then you come in later. All right, thank you for that. All right, your network is not so super, so you just adjust a bit, then we'll get back to you once we are ready to take contributions from you. All right, I can also see Ayodele Akere on Ayodele, good morning. Ayodele, let's have Ayodele Akere on with us now, so that unmute his mic so that we can hear contribution from Ayodele Akere. Yeah, Ayodele Akere, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Okay.
How are you, sir?
Are you just joining in, or you've been following since 10, 11?
I've been following since 11. I was here exactly a minute to 11, but I'm also in another seminar, so I only just stepped up. How are you all doing, sir?
Okay. Everybody is fine on their behalf. Now let's quickly this. I get some background information from Onoja Benedict that the environment for Africans to really thrive as an agent. Is there any difference between being an African agent and agents, say, in Europe or elsewhere? Maybe we need to get this first.
Yes. Thank you, sir. I would like to start by thank you. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are good.
I would like to start by thanking the organizers of this meeting and quickly to move ahead to say the following. Yes, there is a world of difference between agents or intermediaries in Africa and in other parts of the world. And I'm going to make sure that I make 2 or 3 major points. The first one is the fact that in other parts of the world, intermediaries are an active part of the stakeholders in the football world. When I say an active part, they are part and parcel of transactions concerning players in the football world. They are not absent. Others don't do their jobs. It's a structured system where coaches do their jobs in Europe and Asia and other places. Sporting directors do their jobs, scouts do their jobs, agents and intermediaries do their jobs, and the value chain is complete. But in Africa, let me speak specifically in Nigeria, where I am. I'm a lawyer and I'm an intermediary in Nigeria. So I look at things from the perspective of a lawyer and as an intermediary. First, there are laws guarding how intermediaries should operate, and that's the upon which myself and my brother and Oga, Mr. Chodeke, and a number of us in Nigeria got licensed with the Nigerian Football Federation to be intermediaries, so that we don't just act like other random agents or those who are following the profession who are human traffickers. But having gotten licensed by the NFF, we have not been given the correct platform to be able to thrive. Many clubs don't reckon with intermediaries in Nigeria. Let's just be true. We're actually the ones who want to make them reckon with us. Many persons in the football administration, Nigerian Football Federation, League Management Committee, and different Nigerian Women Football League, and so on and so forth, have no active collaboration or knowledge, or don't also have active collaboration or knowledge with agents. So we don't have the structure that is in the United Kingdom, Spain, Germany, Japan, and other places. Even as little as countries in Africa, like Egypt, like South Africa, and others. So that's one. Then 2, we don't, by extension, have a good platform to make sufficient income. The players in Nigerian League, the Nigerian Premier League, Nigerian National League, Nigerian League One, and other amateur levels are in their thousands. Less than 2% of them have intermediaries representing them. And of course, that by extension, the players' contracts, the players' welfare, the players' transfer are done in a haphazard manner. So we don't even benefit, neither do players benefit. So it's not, we are not really existing in the realm of the $1 billion or $1 trillion environment that football is. So yes, there's a world of difference in structure, operations, benefits, and challenges of foreign agents as compared to African agents, and I speak in this regard, Nigerian agents particularly. Thank you, sir.
All right, that's a good one. Thank you for that clarification. But this FIFA regulations doesn't recognize the fact that agents are different from locations to locations, and environment are different. How are you guys going to be addressing this and work with these new regulations?
Well, we would have to see how we check the amendments, the regulations, hoping that the amendments are specific to the realities of each region. Like I said earlier on, we seek to be more professional, more cohesive, and more, of course, profitable and functional, like other agents in Europe and other developed areas of football. But until then, I feel that consideration should be given to us in Africa. I'm not saying there should not be regulations. I became an intermediary based on FIFA regulations, which I follow to the letter. But there should be some consideration for developing football continent like Africa. Even as good as the South African League is, as good as the Egyptian League is, and some other leagues in Africa, you can't compare that to the other countries in Africa and how their leagues are. We still have to rely on many foreign agents to come and, or scouts, to come and pick our players for better conditions. So our income base is not much. We're not making the monies of the Mino Raiolas, the Jorge Mendes of this world, or even people that are close to them. Unless and until an average agent in Africa can say that in a calendar year you can make, even a terrible time, $500,000, you are not yet there. Because people are making millions of dollars on transactions for players in different leagues. So if we are giving the same procedure for registration of agents, like on the draft regulations, exams to be passed, fees to be paid, it will only lead to challenges for African agents who have not really gotten the value benefit from the football world. So my suggestion is that there needs to be a whittling down of this provision to consider us, while it will evolve over time when there is proof that FIFA can verify that truly we are properly structured and truly we are able to meet the various obligations, regulations, and guidelines. It will not just be an intermediate, an agent license with them, but of course, to continue to function in that line. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And let me welcome Abdulaziz Ibrahim on board, and as well as Eddie Ogbemudia. Then I can also see Benga Global Sport. I don't know whether it has Benga Global. I can see Global Sport as well. And I can see Emmanuel Iyabam joining us as well. You guys are welcome. So we'll be looking at the new FIFA regulations, the way forward for agents from Africa, the bad, the good, and the ugly, as hosted by and Fiddling Sports. That's our host, and my name is Olushola Adebayo, moderating for the past 30 minutes or thereabout. All right, now let's look at the we are still on the introductory part, trying to get the issues, then we can now go into the specifics. Now, there is this issue that I'm able to get from people's contributions so far, and that has to do with the fact that now, even if you've been an intermediary since 2014 and you are yet to take any FIFA examination to become one, you are still going to go and start all over again by writing the exam. And what are those things in place for the African agents? Are they going to, will they go through the FA now, or will they go through FIFA? And how will they go about that? Let me bring on board Eddie Ogbemudia here, if he's with us.
Yeah, good morning all.
Good evening.
Yeah, good morning. I believe
I can hear you clearly.
I can be heard clearly. All right. Thank you very much.
Yes, very well.
Very, very nice discussion so far. And I must commend the organizers of this program. Now, talking about the registration, as you asked, before now, even during the time of examination, it's usually done through the country FA. So for example, in Nigeria, if you want to take that exam, you still need to pass through your the NFF. So the regulations, the exam, whatever it may be, it will be done through the FA, though the questions are being set centrally by FIFA, and the examination or test, as the name may be, will be organized and sent to FIFA. So most time it is done real time. Let me just give an instance, like a CBT test. It's done real time, and instantly you get to know your scores if you are progressing or you are failed.
Now, how do you manage me? Let's say, for example, I've been practicing 2014 and 2021, I couldn't pass the exam. How do I manage that with my client and the rest of my business partners?
You know, that's one of the aspects of this new regulation that FIFA is trying to introduce, talking about the continued professional development, which should be earning you credits on a yearly basis. And the unfortunate thing, just like the last speaker said, is that some of these regulations, they don't really happen in reality when we're talking about specific national federation. Like in Nigeria, for example, the average Premier League footballer will tell you does not need an intermediary to complete a contract. So you can see even the big players in Nigeria football, talking about the local leagues, that can take a player to a club with just a tweak of a finger. They are not even licensed by the NFF, and there are no sanctions, and these clubs are dealing with them. So you will see a situation whereby the over 400 to 500 registered intermediaries in Nigeria, some of them don't have a job. Over since they got a license, they've not been able to secure a deal for a particular player to any club because, number one, they won't want to deal with them. Clubs, there are a lot of process. They know they have some people they can circumvent the process and deal with them and have some kickback. So it's very difficult for intermediaries in some clients. So you can see here now, if you want to say, okay, some of all these grace credit that you need to pass tests, you need to earn some points, it will be difficult for some intermediaries. I'm using Nigeria, for example, because even doing the business, the environment is not conducive for you to even act as one. We have millions of footballers, professional and amateurs in Nigeria, but the education level for them to get registered with an intermediary to at least help them in a review of their contract and also help them in one or two issues that relates to the betterment of their contract. The platform.
It seems that
that's a major challenge we are having. Yes. So some intermediaries, they can't progress because there's no platform for them to excel.
Okay, I can get that. There are limited jobs for intermediary within our context here in Africa. All right, before we move on, let me bring on board Victor Rodrigo from FIFA. Is here with us. I think he can shed more light on how to protect the African agent because of the peculiarities of the working environment in Africa. And I want him to look at the specific, like the exam taking. Can he explain the examination part for us so that from there we can know how to go at it? In what shape and what format will the exam be? And do you need to pay any amount of money or just let Rodrigo, are you with us? Victor Rodrigo. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes.
I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, just 1 minute. I would like to switch on my cam. Okay. Sorry, can you switch on my cam, please? Or okay, anyway, so first of all, thank you very much for your invitation. As you mentioned before, we are here, Luis Villas-Boas and Tariq Kajanovic from the Agents Department. As you know, for us, FIFA, this is a very, very exciting project, which is within the second package reform that FIFA launched at the beginning of let's say 2018. So first of all, to let you know that we take into account all the peculiarities of each market. In that case, of course, today we are talking about the African market and what are your views on the new agents framework. And we can hear here your proposals, your doubts, your concerns regarding the new regulations. On that regard, I would like to point out that the first and the main goal of the agents framework is to raise the quality and enhance the ethical standards of the profession. As you said and as you presented, it is true that since the well-known the regulation of 2015, we have detected through some good reports from the EU Commission, for instance, the Paris report, but also through all the meetings that we have held with you. You have explained us some concerns regarding the protection of your agreements with young players, for example, or also some concerns regarding the gatekeeper problem with certain clubs and so on. So on that regard, the regulations are trying, or of course are trying to improve the current system since 2015. And all the initiatives and all the proposals on that regulations have been achieved after years of discussions, after years of analyzing the market, and of course, let's say we have reached a collective bargaining in order to issue a good regulations for the market. On that regard, just to let you know, and my colleagues can explain you further, we are still discussing some main topics on the regulations. So getting back to your point, for instance, we have detected that the African market, we would like to monitor, or we would like to enhance or to bring more clarity on the transfer of players, especially on young players within Africa, and also that players that are traveling from Africa to Europe or other continents. So that's the first point. The second point, of course, for us is very, very important to enhance transparency. On that regard, we will launch a so-called agents platform, which will bring more transparency to the market. So you will have some mandatory requirements regarding reporting after each transaction, after each agreement. So the idea is to have a good overview of the activity of each each agent in the world, including, of course, your market. Just to let you know, because I think it's very important to mention that on this point, that as you might know, FIFA will launch the FIFA clearinghouse, which will be, in my opinion, one of the main pillars of the transfer system reform, and especially for us, for the agents department, and for you, will be a very, very, very important tool. Because as you mentioned before at the beginning of the presentation, I believe you raised the topic of training compensation, training rewards, which is crucial. You know, it's crucial in order to enhance the investment in young players. It's crucial in order to bring more transparency to the system, and it's crucial to come back to the main pillars of the big transfer reform back in 2000 and back in 2000s, at the beginning of 2000s, after the Bosman case. So at that time, the EU agreed with FIFA to enhance the contractual stability, to enhance the protection of players, to enhance the protection of minors, to enhance the investment in young players. So all that pillars have been are promoting now with these big reforms. So the FIFA clearinghouse will be a crucial tool for us and will bring more transparency, especially in Africa. So for me, this is, of course, a quick and broad overview of some points, some concerns, but I'm sure that my colleagues could give you more feedback on that regard.
All right, let me quickly bring your colleagues on so that we can address the issue all at once. Then other agents can react to those areas that we must have touched and that they would like to react on. Luis Villas-Boas, good morning. Are you with us?
Yes, I am. Good morning. Also here, it's almost afternoon, but here in Zurich. Thank you again to invite us to participate in this conference. We feel that it's deeply needed to understand the African market, to understand what we should adjust in our regulations to basically try to adjust your requirements to global regulations, which at the end, to be honest, is difficult to try to regulate a profession as agent globally, because every country has a different sets of requirements or specificities, which is sometimes difficult to address.
And Luis Villas, that's where I want to come in. Is there any way that we can have a specific regulations that is tailored for a particular country working environment? Is there any way we can have that?
This is what happens in the moment, at the moment, I guess, because what I feel it's every member association has their own regulations. So, and at the end, we're talking about one market, right? Is the transfer market, whether it's within Nigeria or globally speaking. So what we feel and what we analyze and researches and the feedback we receive from different agents organizations was that by creating different national football agent regulations, different from FIFA, would create a more restricted market. So to give an example, if someone it's only licensed in Nigeria, but wants to operate, for example, in another African country, then they need to go to that African country, or what I call Botswana or Kenya, to have an exam or to register to become a football agent license. What FIFA trying to do is, with this license, you can operate globally, worldwide, meaning if you pass the exam of FIFA, you can act in any country globally speaking. Of course, there are some specificities if you act within a jurisdiction, like doing a national transfer. Of course, you need to adjust to the national law, but we feel that a license that is covered worldwide would help the market itself to allow agents that can act globally, whether it's in one region or globally speaking, South America and North America and so on. So that's why we felt that a license covered globally would allow agents to act worldwide.
Okay, and talking about license that can allow agents to function worldwide. The exam, is it going to be a worldwide exam, the same day, same time, or is it going to go through the FAs as at when it is convenient for them?
Sure. The idea, what is currently being discussed, because as a preliminary point, I also wanted to explain that the regulations are still under consultation. So it's definitely, we receive feedback from different stakeholders, from game stakeholders, FIFPro, World Leagues, Member Association, ACA, some agent organization. And here I thank you also to Peter for providing FIFA to different feedback from different other agents organizations, which I think was useful. This as a preliminary to explain everything is not set in stone. So we're still discussing different possibility in that respect. In relation to the exam,
okay,
it's going a bit what was held before 2015. So definitely will be an exam on the same date. There will be probably some hours, different hours between whether you're taking the exam on a certain region. If it's more on the east part, it's one cluster of hours, let's call it. If you're doing in the American side, of course, you have another hour. But the exam will mainly be about the FIFA regulations. So the regulations about agents, the FIFA football agent regulations will be about the FIFA disciplinary code, the RSTP, the ethics code, the FIFA statutes, and it will be the same. So this will be something that will be the same exam for everyone, but the difference is that it's not a paper exam. What I mean is a web exam. You need to bring your laptop or tablet to the member association, so that you can take the exam on the relevant date and hour. This basically hopefully will be 20 questions, multiple choice questions, and the duration could be something we're still discussing, but it can be from 60 minutes to 90 minutes. It's what we have now discussing at the moment.
All right, thank you for that insight. Let me bring, we have agents listening and to contribute because it will affect them directly, is their job. So let me bring on Emmanuel Iyabam to react to what Luis Villas-Boas and Victor Rodrigo have said so far, and he can also bear his mind on other things that the new FIFA regulations contains. Emmanuel Iyabam, good afternoon. It's
first and foremost,
it's
a pleasure to connect with you again after a long while. Also, I want to appreciate Coach Villas-Boas. It's an honor to listen to you speak. Having said that, can you hear me?
Yeah, you are on now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, you are on. You are on. Good.
On a personal note, I think the preamble of the law covering our work as agents needs to be adjusted. I mean, it's a 2-paragraph statement, but the first statement covers the players. It looks as if people were an unwanted group of persons within the football polity. We're not recognized by association. We're not protected by association. Yet we operate with the system. As an African, I cannot do business in Europe before now. But God that just told us that, oh, the new regulation allows us to do business across borders within the reach of such countries where we do business. That was the case before the intermediary system came into being. And I worked under somebody's license for almost 20 years. as one of his representatives here in Africa. And for those years, it was very awesome to do business. Again, the new laws needs to be coaxed in such a way that it allows the development of the African market and some other regions. I'm not just looking at Africa. One of the things you need to pay attention is that quite often in Africa, the agents are the ones actually paying the bills of players. Connecting and across town. And I think this boy has potential. Take him up, train him, and then take him maybe to a grassroots academy or to an elite team to get compensation. It doesn't really make sense for us in Africa, because it means you are shooting us in the foot, because most of us are the ones actually financing the direction of the players. Now, we don't have a proper system. Let's be honest. I don't care who gets to hear me speaking today, whether the federation, on paper, there is a dispute resolution chamber and it is functional. I don't know about other African countries, but when I cannot even take up issues with clubs and the players with the federation, it's an issue. So FIFA needs to taper down a bit on some of the rules for our sakes. I also think that FIFA should down a blanket fee. Keep it at 10% for everything we're talking about. Don't go beyond that. That allows fair play, because I understand FIFA is trying to regulate the system and make sure that there's fair play within the system, but make it a balanced cost. The clubs seem to be the ones gaining the most, and then the players. We are just an afterthought. It's not okay. I looked at the REIT. There are 8 titles to that, this entire new, several sections of the REIT that really affect us. I'm not bothered about the exam because the exam is already 20 questions. The format system held that when you have your exams, the 15 general rules of the agency, and then the last 5 are federation, your own local federation. And that was okay. If that's the system they're going back to, I have no problem with it. It's also an objective question. So it's either your law or you don't know it. It will also mean that those who have legal capacity, people like Akerele, who have just spoken before, the FIFA, Rodrigo and Velasco spoke, it's easy for them. They understand the route. We need to focus on making sure that within Africa, systems are in place. FIFA needs to set up checks for her FAs. I mean, even getting into the system of football in Nigeria is a bottleneck. So when you don't have the proper rules in place, it leads to abuse. And that abuse is the biggest challenge for African agents. Trying to do business with clubs in Nigeria specifically, you can quote me anywhere. They prefer to work with the facts and with the agents. Why are doing the job of agent? Play the job of agent. Officials of the federation are doing the job of, don't quote me, but if you want proof, inbox me, I'll give you proof of people who are doing business within the system. It doesn't help us to develop. Now, it means we're an outcast. And I don't see myself as an outcast. I see myself as someone who is helping. I have worked with youth. I run the largest orphanage in northern Nigeria with 380 something children in my care. And those who are involved in sports, it's a bother when agents take advantage of them. I'm also an anti-human trafficking advocate. So when I see all these things play out within the football policy, I ask, is FIFA really serious, or FIFA is just talking to suit her European partners specifically and forgetting that the rest of us don't have a properly organized system? Now, if FIFA wants this system to go across board and be a success story, then they should find a rule that covers every federation, regardless of your national laws. okay? Because we can't play dilly-dally. One rule for the British, another rule for the French, another rule for the African or the Nigerian or the Egyptian. It won't work. So I'm glad that this new regulation has come in and it's also helping to bring a bit of balance. There are a few checks we need to do, and I'm glad that Rodrigo is here. I'm going to send him a personal mail on the questions I have. And I hope they will be willing to give us their personal mail so that we can send, because I have taken my time to read the rates and ask questions where necessary. If I take my time to speak about that, nobody will speak.
All right, thank you.
A football agent. Yeah.
Emmanuel Yabam, don't worry, I understand the angle you are coming from perfectly, and if I ask you to continue, we may not leave here today. But there will be another time for you to come on board. Let other people give us other perspectives so that it will make the further contribution more comprehensive.
Yes.
All right, thank you for that good opening. I also have Arthur Oliver from Ghana. And I would like to move straight to Ghana to also have a feel of the agency environment in Ghana and how these new regulations can be made to cover every areas of Africa, since we are talking agents from Africa here. Arthur Oliver, good afternoon. This is Lagos, in Accra. Oliver, can the host bring on Arthur Oliver on board for us? Hello? Hello, Arthur. Okay, okay, while we wait for Arthur Oliver to join in, let me bring on board Abdulaziz. Abdulaziz.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Hello.
Hello, Abdulaziz.
Yes, good afternoon, gentlemen. Am I audible?
Good afternoon. We're good, yeah. How do you introduce the new FIFA regulations? The areas actually strike you where you first heard or see the documents?
Yeah, I must say, being an intermediary for some time now, and we've been working all behind the scenes to see how the professionality of intermediary in Africa become a standard, and that will be well appreciated everywhere in the world. The FIFA call is just like a wake-up call. When I saw all those regulations and when been discussing that with our IFA counterparts and other FA, that we are always in touch. You will remember I was the last Secretary General of the FIAN in Nigeria, and a lot of interactions was ongoing, and which I was part of, and before and even after leaving the office, we've been discussing seriously behind the scene and looking at what FIFA Cup have. It's actually a wake-up call to our profession if we look into it. The good side of it will affect and be positive more to the African continent. We have to benefit more. The only side we're looking at is looking at how much we make, what is going on. But if we pick up what FIFA is trying to bring up, we have areas where we decide to say no, and we've already shown it to them. We've written to FIFA. They have our decisions and what we want. But in the area of here in Africa, we know that most agents have less knowledge of football transactions and what the rules and regulations of so many things. And because of that, so many of us are so backward here, not being able to do anything. What with this idea is just the same way of continuous education. And that is what every professional job required, except especially the area of football, where there are so many loopholes and other people are taking advantages of it. So I see it as a wake-up call, as I will tell you. And with this, ever since the new route started some professionals and some agents within Nigeria and other African countries who've all been on deck. We are working tirelessly every day. I must tell you, even in Nigeria here, all behind the scene, to try to see to work with the football stakeholders. And very soon, which we have in a few weeks to come now, they're going to launch a very good solution to it, which we have to wake up before we ask FIFA to come on board to come and see what to do to us. And so what we need, so all of us here, we should only be thinking about how do we form a strong, formidable association that would definitely help our profession, both in continuous education and in peculiarity of our FAs of where we belong, especially here in Nigeria, whereby agent can't, if see agent been working for 3-4 years, has not been able to transfer a single player, and he doesn't even know how to go about it. The big agent don't want to work with the small agent. And just like what one of our colleagues here says, Mr. Nakatia, so it's part of the principle of the guide we're working on from behind the scene to see where a new agent coming on board to be able to work with a super agent, the so-called top agents that are doing well, and be able to spend 2-3 years to a pickup. And during that period, it's not, even though he's having agent, he doesn't have anything, he's going to be having one job or the other to be doing representation. And that gave us knowledge. On the job training will be there, and our agent to be able to be more professional. And I think this decision, I must tell you, based on what we've discussed with our European counterpart, is going to be helpful. And it's going to also help our agent here to be able to transfer anywhere in the world. So we are looking at how to develop ourselves first, then tell FIFA where we want them to come in. Because we have to put our house in order, then FIFA will definitely be there to help us furnish any other things we want. And most especially other African countries, we're already putting call across to different associations as well to form a strong African Football Agent Association, which has already been registered, and discussion is ongoing from behind the scene. And to see that we have a strong force, education. We even want to be having an examination for ourselves before the FIFA exams to ensure no agent will fail. From the administrative point of view, we have a whole lot to do. And because our younger ones, our brothers have been shipped out of the country with so many things using forced different agents and been extorted by several agents. So all those areas are part of what a FIFA too, we are meant to understand that the reason why they had to come up with so many rules to see how the profession will well checkmate. So I must tell you, it's a good one, and we thank the organizers of this. It's a good one, and we just have to think beyond what we expect FIFA alone to do. We should be thinking about what we think we can do as well to help the football world, and what is our own innovation. How do we go out of this? How do we help those who doesn't have knowledge? How do we go together in it? So I think that's just my own submission. It's a good one, and I'm sure in few weeks to come, when other things will be launched, we expect everyone on there, and everyone here to be part of that project, join the different sport ministers, and we visit different countries to ensure African boys become one, and all agents there are well improved. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that introduction. I would still want to get all the debaters' views involved before we call it a break. Then after the break, we'll now begin to look at the specifics. But before that, I would like to see if Tariq Ajanovic, another FIFA representative, can join us. Tariq Ajanovic. Is Tariq with us
Hello.
now?
Yes, I
Hello.
am. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon. Yes,
Good
very
afternoon.
clearly.
Good morning,
and audibly.
gentlemen. My name is Tariq Ajanovic. I'm a part of the FIFA Agents department. You've already heard from my colleagues, Victor and Luis. It's a pleasure to be here to hear the opinions of Nigerian and African football agents or intermediaries, to understand the realities of the market, to see what are the issues facing you. As my colleagues have already said, we're working hard on developing the new regulations. So as the consultation is still ongoing, nothing is set in stone. So these particular meetings like these and the experiences which have been shared by yourself and your colleagues are perfect opportunity for us to actually learn the intricacies of each market, and particularly the African market, which is so big. and has so many players would actually find their way into the big leagues and so on. But I would just maybe make one small comment regards to something that your colleagues have already said, that yes, we are always just looking to find a solution which would fit the whole transfer market. We are aware that it is one transfer market, and we are not only looking to sort out the, as you said, the big leagues or the big transfers and big players, but we're also trying to find solutions for agents who are dealing with agents from smaller countries or smaller national football markets. So in that sense, I think, and Victor briefly explained on this, we will have this FIFA agent platform, which will basically have the same approach for all agents across the board. So the exam itself is going to be the same for everyone, regardless of where they take the exam from. The initial idea is that you will have a free choice of where you take the exam. So it's really, it doesn't matter where you take the exam. You can go from Nigeria and take it in England, or you can go from England and take it in Nigeria. It would be the same exam. It would be the same license. The same goes for the CPD or the continuing professional education. The goal is not just to make the agents, the licensed agents, just to comply with that particular CPD in order to renew the license. Yes, that is one of the reasons why we're introducing it, but at the same time, to have CPD to actually educate agents on the most crucial parts of what they're working on. So we are going to have modules on minor players, minor footballers, and how to deal with those particular transfers. Those are actually going to be probably mandatory for those agents who want to deal with particular transfers involving minor players. We are going to have education on how to actually understand these contracts, because we understand not everyone is going to be someone who's legally educated so they can understand the regulations. So the whole point behind this is to have an approach which fits all aspects of the football agency business. Once again, not just the high-end agents we all keep hearing about, but the other football agents, those from Africa included. So in that regard, this is one of the main reasons why my colleagues and I are here, just to hear your experiences. And obviously I'm making notes throughout this meeting, and I'm looking forward to hearing from what other colleagues of ours have to say here. And hopefully some of those ideas and some of those remarks will find their way into the final regulations at the end. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Tariq. And talking about hearing from agents from all over Africa and how the environment operates so that you can incorporate it into the regulations when it is finally adopted. Let me bring up on Rashid and Idris from Niger. Both of you should be on guard. And I would like to also keep Roberto Branco Martins, the General Counsel, European Football Agents Association, also on guard. So you can easily give us what they feel like, the environment like there in Australia, while we hear from Morocco and Niger. Rashid Mukhtar, you can jump on this first. While Idris follows, then Roberto from EFA jump onto that and that succession.
Is that a specific question to directed to me? And maybe because the line was not very well, maybe you can define the specific question.
I will do that now. We want you to share the working environment as an agent in Morocco, because we've been able to establish the fact that being an agent in Africa is a different kettle of fish compared to being an agent in Europe. And we also want to establish whether the different African setup and environment also differs in a way. Then the regulations can take care of those little differences by the time it will be adopted. So I'm looking at what does it take, the challenges of being an agent working from Morocco.
Well, then I don't think the question from Morocco is directly to me, right? We have a representative of Morocco here, if I'm correct.
Rashid help us to bring Rashid on so that we can hear from Morocco. Okay, Rashid. Good afternoon. It's afternoon here in Lagos. Hello, Rashid. Can you hear me? Hello, Rashid. Rashid Riktak, can you hear me? I can see you. Oh, help us to unmute his mic so that I can speak. Okay, all right. This is on. Idris, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, while we try to sort with Rashid, can you adopt the question for Niger?
I'm not from Niger. I'm from Nigeria, Kaduna to be precise.
Oh, I missed that. It's no problem. And how is Kaduna today?
Kaduna is good.
Okay, all right. No problem. We've been able to get an environment into the Nigerian environment is like. Don't worry, we have a contribution very soon. I'm just trying to get the environment from other countries. What of Arthur Oliver from Ghana? Arthur Oliver from Ghana. Is Arthur still with us? Okay, all right. But if I'm having difficulty trying to bring Rashid on, I'm also having difficulty bringing Arthur on. The host can help us unmute Rashid while we try to move on to Roberto Branco Martins. I can see Roberto Martins Branco is itching to say something on this. Host, can you help us to unmute his mic? All right, Martins, you are on.
Okay, I can say something. Yeah, you can hear me properly?
All right. Properly.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Well, first, I'm happy to see so many countries here present. We have a good relationship with some of you, especially with Michael from Nigeria. So we thank the associated member for organizing this. In relation to Morocco, we have recently concluded an associated membership also. So yeah, from APA side, I'm happy to see you. Obviously, I can't say that much about Morocco, but I can say something in general about the upcoming regulations that most probably will be implemented next summer. But our colleagues from FIFA obviously are more in place to give concrete details about that than I am. But I believe that we have to distinguish two things. We have to realize also what kind of organization FIFA is, and we also have to realize when FIFA becomes competent till a certain extent. I think it's quite extraordinary and also a very positive development that FIFA is reintroducing a license that will enable international activities in professional football when it comes to transfers and the activities of agents. I'm happy to use the word agents again because I think intermediary does not really fit the title and the activities. Having said that, it is good that we don't have that international burden and thresholds anymore that impede international activities. However, there is a focus on international activities, and despite the fact that that international FIFA license, as I understand it now, gives you the opportunity as an agent to be active in a cross-border world, I do understand that the issues that you mentioned are a big problem, being the fact that what do we do on a national level? What is the situation if the FIFA regulations try to depart from a position where we have a form of organized football versus the situation in many African countries where you have other types of football contracts and relationships between clubs and players, where academies, for example, have a very important task in relation to European academies. The structure is different. And I understand that there are different problems in Africa, just like has been mentioned here in the chat, that the system for organized football is not fully in place in Africa. So I believe that on a general level, education is perfect and very good if we focus on the international element. But I think that just like the activities and the initiatives of the Nigerian Agent Association, and just like similar activities in other agent associations on a national level, the agent on a national level, together with the National Football Federation, would have it as their task to also educate their own agents on a national level and promote also professionalism and transparency and proper working in the geographical area of that specific state. So that's where I believe the role of AFA also comes in trying to streamline those activities on a national level as well. So from AFA perspective, I can give you a concrete example. We understand that FIFA is going to implement new regulations. We have our views and we have our doubts about the process, and I think you have been informed about that through Michael in the various correspondences that we had. But having said that, we are aware of the fact that there will be a new FIFA regulation. So it's one of AFA's objectives to prepare the members as much as possible for the consequences. So AFA sends out that message, and AFA supports national initiatives to promote professionalism and transparency. When we look at Greece or when we look at France and the Netherlands, we are now structuring on the same level national workshops that educate agents on a national level, members of the various agents associations, about topics that are directly connected to their business. So just like Tarek has just mentioned, education is key. I think the core for FIFA's education is to focus on cross-border activities when the FIFA competence comes in force. But we can't expect from FIFA to be able to regulate everything on a national level when it comes to activities of agents. So there's also an own initiative necessary there. And we believe that that own initiative goes hand in hand with the creation of, first, a proper functioning agent association with solid objectives focusing on transparency, education, and doing proper business, but also to create a good working relationship with the other stakeholders on a national level. I'm very happy to see that there are so many African countries present in this meeting. So I really salute Michael and his organization for organizing this together with you. But this is a first step, and I'm keen to find out how you have organized those relationships with the other stakeholders on your national level, because that is also fundamental to keep track of international developments and try to streamline your national activities with the international activities, the cross-border activities of agents, and being aligned with the requirements of FIFA. So I see there's a layered approach. And when we speak about the international level, FIFA can streamline a lot. But gentlemen, we also do have an own responsibility, and I would say let's try to streamline those activities together. And for Morocco, I believe that's probably the same situation, but maybe our Moroccan colleague can unmute and join that idea.
All right, and we will surely go to Morocco, but I can see Peter Paleologos, the President, Australia Football Agents Association. And let me quickly bring Peter on. Good afternoon, Peter. Are you also in? Are you subscribed to the fact that associations have to have their own kind of a working document that FIFA can streamline?
Thank you for the opportunity. Can you hear me? It's nearly it's evening here in Australia, 9:30, probably past 9:30, 9:35. Thank you for the opportunity, Michael and Enfield Sports, to take part in this. I'm really glad that the African agents have had an opportunity to put their views forwards, and that all the intricacies and uniqueness of the African agents in terms of the systems and the way they operate and the culture and the environment. So it's a very good opportunity. And I'm very glad that also European football agents and FIFA on this call, on this webinar, to see the African perspective. In Australia, we have certain views of, we have a unique sort of ecosystem in the sense of where we operate in terms of agents. We're similar to the MLS, where we have salary caps, we have a collective bargaining agreement, and that feeds in a lot to the agents or the intermediaries, now as agents. But basically, what I think in terms of the new regulations, I agree a lot with Roberto in the sense that it's about international business, and these regulations, these new draft regulations, which obviously will be implemented, are there to facilitate an international business for all of us, so we can all operate more smoothly and with more certainty and professionalism in the agent's profession. Now, to your question, sorry, what was your question that you wanted to ask me?
That do we need a specific regulations based on environment?
Okay.
Then FIFA can now regulate, synchronize all, instead of having one blanket document from FIFA that will guide all the countries, irrespective of the working environment in their respective countries.
Look, I think the regulations, you need the international framework. And I think for all of us to operate, we need an international framework. But we've got to remember that there are national agent systems where, for example, in France, it's a profession, you need certain criteria to meet. In Italy as well, the National Association is very strong in what agents can do. So these regulations provide the international framework for international dimension deals, but also in terms of national systems, there are some in place. And I think FIFA will probably be better. And what I've seen in the regulations, there will also be some recognition of those national national laws or national regulations. So we need an overarching system, though, because I'm a lawyer, football lawyer, but also an agent before 2015. So I had a license, and it was much easier to operate under an international system. Whereas now, if I, as an intermediary, I need to register in this country and that country, it is quite difficult. The other thing that I want to raise in terms of national or international is the issue of mandates between agents. I think that is an important area which is not addressed here in the regulations, because you as a Nigerian or Ghanaian or Tunisian agent, and you want to deal with a French agent, or you want to deal with someone overseas, yes, you'll have a license internationally. However, you do still need someone on the ground in the other country. And I think mandates is a very important aspect that's, other than the representative agreement, which is clear here that there's a standard minimum requirements for representative agreement. There's no mention of dealings between other agents. And the reason I raise that is because one positive thing about these, amongst other things, is the agents chamber, which I'm a big Australia, but we're very favourable towards, where there is a specific tribunal where you can go for an international dispute amongst agents. And that's important because that allows you an opportunity to deal with some with dispute resolution. Because right at the moment, right now, it's very, with this current intermediary system, disputes between agents and players and coaches and clubs are very difficult to deal with. So I think the overarching international is very important, but also the recognition of some, which will happen, because I know that, as I mentioned before, in Italy and in France, they have very strong national agent sort of systems. That's my answer there. I mean, I've got some other things that I want to talk about in relation to the positives and some improvements to the regulations, but I know that's for later. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And we'll surely get back to all of those, because we'll still be looking at the good, the bad, and the ugly of the new FIFA regulations. I want to believe that Rashid Riktak is ready for us, and he can actually unmute his mic. Let's hear what the agency work is like from Morocco. Hello, Mukhtar. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. All right, like we're having an audio
Louder,
issue.
louder.
Rasid, Riptak, speak up.
Now, how is it now?
Yeah, it's okay now.
It's okay. So it was, there must be so the problem was with the mic.
Okay, okay. You can start all
So
over.
I hope it's going on right there. I have been following, I've been listening to what you said, all of you. Well, thank you for this opportunity which you are giving me as maybe the only agent from Morocco to participate. And I wish all the best to our meeting to come up with conclusions to be in a better future for us and for the players.
Okay, now let's look at the environment in Morocco. What is this like to work as an agent in Morocco?
Well, you know,
Compared to the rest of the world?
Morocco cannot be an exception in the situation which is going on in the whole world. There are, of course, opportunities which go good. There are opportunities in which there are contingencies. So, but let's be optimistic that the future of football agents can be better.
All right, now the new FIFA regulations that we are discussing. What's your take on the regulations concerning Morocco and the world and the rest of the world?
I think that the new regulations to be taken, well, are good, of course. Of course, there are sometimes that go outside or against our wishes. But let's take the good intentions of FIFA, that is to have very well regulated system of work for the football agents.
Okay, all right. We'll surely look at the good. Surely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I'll surely get back to you. This is just introduction part. And Michael, can we talk now, Michael? Michael?
I'm with you.
Okay, okay. Do we have other people from other African climes like Ghana and Niger, Togo around?
They are unavailable for now. Well, most of them are online. So they are busy doing something, yeah.
Okay.
But let me chip in a point.
Okay, well, that means we'll be able to do justice.
Well, as an African agent, I think, as Rashid just said, we need to look at the good intention of FIFA. But as we are looking at the good intention of FIFA, we should also look at the bad situation down in Africa. That most of these regulations can work in the Western world. The Africans are, sorry, so to say, are in the second or the third world, the second or third world. So most of these regulations can't work easily in Africa. There should be a way FIFA will streamline this regulation that will suit the African level. Yeah. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let me bring down Idris. Yeah, I'll mute Idris. Let's have Idris' view on this before we go on our first break. So when we come back, we'll now start looking at the specifics. Idris, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Yeah, you've listened to everybody, and I appreciate your patience. How do you come in?
What I have to say to all this is just that I would like I don't really understand. I have not seen the regulation that was done by FIFA yet, but as soon as I see that, I'll be able to talk on that. But right now, for the difficulty we are having as an agent is the guy say from Australia, we needed someone, we needed like a body or a group that, for instance, now let's say I have a contract with a team or an agent in Turkey, and I'm not around, I'm not like in Turkey or something, I'm not in the country where the contract is going to take on. What I think FIFA need to do in short is they need to have a platform like agents can easily meet up and be able to do things together. That's all what I can say on this. I'm still listening as I'm joining for the first time.
Thank you for joining in, and I'm sure you are really learning fast. And
Yes, I am.
Faisal Hussein is not around, Otto Oliver not around, but I guess Eddie is itching to go live again. Ahmad Shehu is also around. Let me speak with Ahmad Shehu first before Eddie. I think I will hear from Eddie. Ahmad Shehu, good afternoon. Ahmad Shehu. Ahmad Shehu, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, you've been listening as well.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I've listened to most of in fact, let's say all of the speakers, and I'm still catching up some things, and I am reserving for later to chip in one or two things that I have assimilated.
Okay. Ahmed Rufai is also listening. Let's hear from Ahmed Rufai because we are going on break after everybody make their introductions, and we can come back to break it down into the good, the bad, and the ugly. Ahmed, are you with us? Hello, Ahmed. Okay. All right. Ahmed, prepare your mind. We'll get back to you. Elliot, are you there? I can see Elliot as well. Elliot Jolomi, the code. Good afternoon, Elliot.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shola. And thank you, Michael, for inviting me here. I'm happy to be here. And I just wanted to say that it's really a heated and interesting discussion. But one thing I would like to comment is that why FIFA is doing this, I think the intention is good. Though the intention is good, the different climates and the different countries that don't have that ideal environment for business to thrive. Like I'm calling in from Nigeria. I'm calling in from Abuja, Nigeria. And the thing is, though we have NFF here, not so far from us, we hardly know what happens there. You go there, and I think a lot of people have commented about this earlier. You see coaches doing the jobs of intermediary. You see anybody you'll see, even if I would say some internationals, they are better placed, in terms of the knowledge, the landscape. They understand the landscape of the game more, and the business more than the agents do. Now, what FIFA should be looking at is how to ensure that there's this collaborative way people and agents can work. And I think someone has commented on this earlier, a system that somehow builds the professional development of agents. As people join in, they're able to collaborate with maybe more experienced agents, that like cleaning up the internal efficiency of the system. This would be very useful for us in Nigeria, because it seems like the agents are not, many agents are not benefiting, except they are spending much more, and they don't even know where they are going. So all they do is just for the passion of the game, and for the passion that they have with these talents, that they want to see them succeed and all that. But I think that what FIFA should be doing should be protecting, I know FIFA is there to regulate the entire system, but it should consider African agents, consider agents world all over. You know how the ease of doing business can be strengthened, not to make new regulations that will further, exacerbate the pressure on agents. I think I should stop here because I know a lot of people are there to speak. Thank you again, Michael, and I appreciate everyone.
All right, thank you. Let's have Faisal Hussein Swahili from Kenya. I'm told it's so we can feel the impact from Kenya as well. Hello. Faisal Hussein, good afternoon.
Afternoon to you. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are on.
Yes, sorry, I've missed a lot of what my colleague said regarding this topical issue. And I don't think I'll have much to add on other than thanking you for the opportunity to represent the country and also to discuss the issues that are close to our hearts as intermediaries. And as said, as alluded to by, I think, Michael from Nigeria, we are really facing challenges. And you recall during the AFCON, we had an official, in fact, the CEO of the Football Federation in Kenya being suspended for definitely having an arrangement with a player, yet is not a licensed football agent or intermediary. So these are the issues that they mirror other countries, and we believe if we can have a continental association, an association of African intermediaries and agents, I believe it will be a step towards curbing these malpractices, and also it will unite our voice. Because if I've been an agent and I'm having challenges transferring players, yet officials in the association are enjoying what will be rightfully ours, I believe is something that we are currently handling, and this is one of the important platforms that I believe we need to utilize. And my request to the hosts and organizers of this particular event is that let's have more of these engagements, because the more we engage, the more we discuss, the lesser issues we are going to have, and I believe we'll forge ahead as a strong team. And with those few remarks, I really appreciate, and God bless you.
All right, thank you. And Faisal Hussein Swahili from Kenya, I really appreciate your contribution, apt and straightforward. And do you still have anyone willing to jump onto this? Let me see. Paulinus Anakwe, are you for us? Paulinus Anakwe. Is Paulinus online? If he's online, you can unmute his mic. He's been listening since. I want to hear him as well.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Paulinus.
This is Paulinus Anakwe from Jos, Nigeria.
You're welcome.
My colleague who also is in Jos too, Mr. Emmanuel Yaban, has spoken our minds. Yeah,
okay. I'm sure you will.
I'm so grateful for this platform. It will aid us to learn more and to achieve our desired interests of seeing great footballers, and us too as well.
All right, thank you very much. And I'm sure Yabam will
be bothered. You guys are already speaking my mind, so there's no need Japaning what they've spoken.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for that. I'm sure Yabam still has more to speak concerning your minds, and we trust him.
Yes.
All right. I think we can. Michael Asoku, are you ready for us? Let's see. I'm trying to see who is there to make contribution so that we can carry everybody along. Michael Asoku, are you ready for us?
Yes. First of all, let me appreciate this very great forum. I'm a keen listener, and I've been listening since from when in fact, I jumped into this very session before the session started. I had to go back. The session has not started, and then came back again. I want to appreciate the organizers. Indeed, this is a laudable forum. For me, I've learned a lot. I just came into the UK 3 weeks ago from Jos. When Pauline was speaking, I said, I just came from Jos. So, I just came to the UK. And then not too long, I joined the agency. I'm an accountant by profession, and a keen football follower right from Nigeria. And then I've also wanted to add value in the football space. And one area I could do that, I feel, was to be an agent. And by the grace of God, I became one a month ago or so. However, I've been reading a whole lot of things before this very forum. But I think this forum has further opened my eyes to a lot of issues that the agent faces, and indeed the recent development that FIFA is about to introduce. But I want to say here categorically that from all I've heard and from those that represented the FIFA agents that said, the new rule, I think, is going to be beneficial. I think it's going to be, from my perspective, my personal opinion, I think the new rule is going to be a very huge benefit to agents and indeed the football space. But of course, observations from different persons from different countries and agents have their own peculiarities. Every country have their own peculiarities, and that is where I think FIFA should be able to look into it and look at the peculiarity of these countries and see how to design this very new rule to, number one, make every country peculiar, while you're also looking at the global stand. You should also give peculiarities to each countries. I think to a greater extent that will help to bring harmony vis-a-vis agency and their relationship with agents and the relationship with the footballers and their local FAs, and indeed relationship with also FIFA. Indeed, I've learned a lot and I'm still learning. I want to appreciate first of all Mr. Michael Sodeke and the hosts for organizing this, and for everyone that made valid their contribution. I think is a platform and also a platform of FIFA to also take home something, to be able to put down certain rules that will guide performances of agents, so to say, of football representatives and their various conduct. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. And I don't know whether we can stick on Smith Abiola bio. Smith, are you willing to speak to us? All right, you can unmute his mic. So they can. Also unmute Smith Abiola's bio mic so that we can hear from him.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Good morning.
Good afternoon. This is afternoon in Lagos.
Sorry, I woke up late due to fasting. I am resting after the morning. Whatever. When I saw, it's not even up to 5 minutes that I got the message on my email now to join the meeting. This is a wonderful meeting. I must thank Mr. Michael Sodeke, Mr. Lusola Adebayo, everyone of you that you're on seat. I must thank you very much. After going through the agenda, I wouldn't want to speak in what I don't know, but I'm just joining the meeting. By the time I listen to one or two things, I can come with a view. But for now, I wouldn't want to speak anything off the track.
All right, thank you.
Once I listen to the meeting, like 4-5 minutes, I can contribute my quotas and bring in something very good. I know we African agents are facing a lot of challenges with the new FIFA rules. When I listen to my people, my brother's opinion, I can now bring in an idea too. I'm sorry if I'm.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. And that's just the introductory part. We'll go on a short break so that we can refresh. Everybody can quickly, those that are here to see the document, you can make a little one or two research on it so that when we come back, we'll start picking specifics from those documents. Then we'll start, we'll bring those FIFA representatives in and see how those things will work. They will explain more, and the inputs will be taken from the debaters and from the reaction center as well. So let's go on a 5-minute break for us to refresh, so we'll come back fully reloaded and we can unleash the good, the bad, and the ugly of the new FIFA regulations and way forward for agents Africa as organized by Anthem Sports Version Public Debate Edition number the second for the year, if I don't mistake. And today being Wednesday, 28th of April, 2020. Olushola Adebayo is my name. I'll be back in the next 5 minutes. Don't go too far away.
Thank you.
The transition. Don't have electronic database, it's okay. We can go ahead and give them that first cash transfer or first scholarship, but as
Hello? Can anyone hear me now?
I hear you well, loud and clear.
Two takeaways that I think
also.
I can hear you loud and clear. I can also hear you loud and clear.
Hello, Mike. Hello, Mike.
I'm with you.
Okay. Because you have to be sure that you are back with us, so that we know who to bring over. All right. So let's. I just want to be sure. Hello, I can hear you very well. I just want to be sure you are with us so that we can start now. So everybody, welcome back once again. And, let me bring on board. Okay, I'll be engaging Manilu Yaba. I'll be engaging. Also be engaging Ayada Kirele. I'll be engaging Faisa Hussein Swahili. I'll also like Soiwa to be part of this react when they are through with the discussions. Then the FIFA representative will be guest that will get onto the topic. So let me start from. But my first question is actually, I think our FIFA people can be the ones to help us to answer that. I think that will set the table for the rest of the discussion. I'm trying to go through the new rules, and what I saw is the fact that I'm talking to Luis Villaboise. Luis Villaboise, we're ready to fire on this. They said, I'm trying to see, they said it was a mistake in 2015 that FIFA have to derail the sector. That's a huge one. Are you saying we've been working in the blind all along after the regulation since 2015? That's quite a long time ago. For good 6 years, we've been working with mistakes. What are those areas that you guys are trying to correct now with these new regulations?
Sure. I'm more than happy to take that question. Just a brief preliminary point. At some point, I might have to leave the meeting because I was expecting this to finish at 2. I have another appointment at 3. But so far, I'm happy to answer, and Tariq will be still on the call to answer and to try to clarify most of the topics. But to answer directly to your question, yes, it was indeed a mistake from FIFA to implement the intermediate regulations. But the good things we can learn from our mistakes at the end. After 5-6 years of implementation of the partial implementation of the intermediate regulations based on our research and also collecting feedback from different stakeholders within the football ecosystem. There was different concerns raised by those stakeholders about these intermediate regulations. The first one was there was an increase of the number of intermediaries, of agents, because since there was this liberalization of the market that allows anyone basically to become an agent, that would have that had an impact on the decrease of the professional services to players. So, which goes in line for the next objective that FIFA wants to implement, is to protect the players, because at the end they need an agent, they need to be represented by an agent when facing with the club negotiating the employment contract. So that's the other objective, trying to protect the players, especially young players, due to their, of course, their short careers. And in top of that, and as I mentioned also in my previous statement, the other issue about the intermediate regulations is they act as a deterrent to work in different jurisdictions. As I mentioned before, if you want to act on a specific jurisdiction, then of course you need to register, you need to comply with their own regulations, which most of the agents feel that it's something that affects the flexibility of acting as an agent. In top of that, there's also the question of the conflict of interest. The current regulations are quite flexible in that respect. You can basically represent any party in a transaction. So we felt also to prevent also the gatekeeper effect, but also to protect the players, that the agent should represent one party in the transaction, but also with an exception that you can act on behalf of a player or the engaging entity, as long there is consent from all parties involved. So we also, in that respect, we also take into account the market and how the agents reach out to us by stating that this is something that is quite standard within the transfer market. It is basically now what we hopefully establish in the future. The other topic is also the lack of payment to agents. So basically, there's no protection of the agent as a creditor, because at the moment, if you face a non-payment from one of an agent client, usually an agent, or they go to the national court, or they go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport if they have the resources to that. So so due to this lack of protection as a creditor for agents, FIFA is also introducing this agent chamber, where they will deal with all the disputes related to agents and clients. So agents and players, agents and clubs, coaches, member association, that's the case, that will be dealt with this agent chamber. Although this agent chamber will only deal with disputes with international dimension, but we urge for the member association to create the same dispute resolution bodies in their internal organizational, just to at least to have a uniform approach to this principle. And lastly, but not least, also related to the protection of creditors, the fact that FIFA also wishes, as also Victor said, to implement the clearinghouse, so that all the payments should be made through the clearinghouse, so that the agent also would receive their fee on time, and would protect again their position as an agent towards their clients. So I would say this 5-6 points that I mentioned was something was not reflected, is not reflected current in the intermediate regulations, and something we want to implement hopefully next year.
Okay, let me bring on Tariq Ayanovic, so that maybe he can answer the next question before I go to the. I can see a cap for the agency fee, and they have to also make public their earnings. Why do they need to go all those odds when we have other professionals that don't have to declare their earnings? Why do agents have to declare their earnings? And so you are also putting a cap. You are not allowing the market forces to determine how much they will earn. What are you trying to achieve with that?
Thank you for the question. Well, as Luis just said, there are a number of inefficiencies in the market or abusive practices or issues that FIFA has identified together with its stakeholders, and which we would like to together try to solve with this new set of regulations. That being said, the cap as it is just one of the tools that we are using or that we are trying to use to actually solve that particular problem. So maybe in the media or in the discussions, it's always one of those points which is always attacked the most. But as we've said before, nothing is set in stone. We are still actively involved in the third consultation process, including which obviously includes agent organizations such as yours and EFA. So obviously we are trying to see what we can do in order to find the best possible solution in that sense. So if we're talking from the perspective of these African agents, where the income of players is relatively lower compared to, let's say, top European players or players in some other leagues around the world, then at least as things stand now, this particular cap does not apply for those players who, for example, earn less than $200,000 per year. So in that sense, obviously, it would be ridiculous to see that you, for example, are earning 3% of a client who earns, I don't know, $5,000 per year. So obviously, in that particular situation, those caps and situations are different. What can be done? So once again, the cap itself is just one of the many tools or one of the many solutions which we are trying to introduce to regulate the market, because at the end, by stopping this outflow of resources from the world of football, so from clubs to particular groups of super agents, let's call them, who have sometimes abused the systems, we believe that the money will actually be redistributed into the football family. So through training clubs, academies, clubs such as in Europe, such as in Africa as well, which will in future receive more money through the training rewards, and hopefully will eventually, let's say, increase the level of football development in Africa and other regions of the world. So I think that we should put a holistic view onto this particular set of regulations and the particular set of solutions, and not maybe just focus on bits and pieces outside of context, which may or may not seem controversial. So I suppose that if you look at it from a perspective of a package, so to speak, of a regulatory package, then I think it makes more sense to actually introduce it as such to tackle all of these issues that Luis has already mentioned.
All right, I still have one more question for the FIFA representatives before I go to the agent, but I would like Victor Rodrigo to take that. The issue of mandatory annual fee, will that not be inimical to the profession, that I have to start paying mandatory annual fee? And any of credits, what the modalities in place to that can easily monitor my CPG credits clearly, that is how it will be earned. How will I earn those credits? What are the things that after doing on a daily basis that I'm sure that I'm earning those credits? Because these two things is looking like if I don't meet those two conditions, I may lose my license.
Yeah. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I believe that this webinar is being very interesting, and you are touching very interesting topics, which indeed have been discussed during the consultation process. Getting back to your question, as Roberto mentioned just before, and also Tariq, education is one of the main pillars of the reform, because the goal is to raise the standard and professional of the activity, and especially because we want to protect players. Okay, so that's the main pillar, and it's very, very important to enhance the education, not only in order to be prepared for the exam, but also afterwards. Not only when you start your career as an agent, but also during the next 5, 10, 15 years along your whole professional career. And why? Because nowadays the football industry, and especially the activity of agents, is in a constant change. Okay, we are in a very demanding environment. We can see how sports, fortunately, has been every year more and more and more professionalized. So CPD for us is very important, and it will be included, as you mentioned, as a mandatory requirement with the insurance policy and also the payment of the FIFA fee. So you should approve a number of credits every year. In that sense, our idea is to issue a FIFA circular explaining the bits and pieces of this CPD. But yeah, it could be, let's say, 20 credits per year, 30 credits per year, and that credits will be compulsory once again in order to keep your license. How are we going to organize this CPD? As we said at the beginning of this webinar, FIFA will launch this agents platform, which will be very interactive. I believe it's a good tool in order to have an open, let's say, relationship dialogue with agents, between FIFA and agents, because there you will have access not only to the CPD, but also to the dispute resolution chamber, which I believe is one of also for a very, very wonderful project, or amazing project, or very good tool for you and for us, of course. You could to check the status of your dispute resolution proceedings, if we have received the response or not, or if your case will be submitted to the president or to the deciding body, and so on. But let's talk about the CPD. So this CPD, you will have different learning paths. These learning paths will be touching some key aspects of the FIFA transfer, of the international transfer system, such as FIFA regulations, but also ethics topics, as well as scouting, negotiations to improve your negotiation skills, etc. This CPD will be included within the FIFA fee. Also, the access to the dispute resolution chamber will be included in this FIFA fee. So I believe that is a really good tool for all of us. We are right now, actually this morning, we were discussing some points regarding this CPD, especially the content of this CPD. So it's a project where we have involved various departments of FIFA, from compliance to education to IT and so on. It's a very complex product, let's say. So yeah, to sum up, it's mandatory. We will explain it in a FIFA circular every year. What are the requirements? It's something that is created for you in order to improve your skills and also to offer better quality on the services. Again, we have realized how the quality of the services have decreased in the last years. So the idea is to increase that quality again. And yeah, it will be everything on the platform, on the agent platform. You will have access 24 hours, 7 days per week. And then again, I would like to remark that the exam, of course, is the goal of the exam is to assess the capabilities and knowledge and abilities of the agent in order to represent a client in a very demanding environment. So we need to test your skills. But for the CPD, the goal is different. There, we want to keep you learning, keep you improving your skills. So it's something that will be a new tool for all of you, and of course for us, in order to follow your career.
Okay, Victor. Okay, Victor. I'm sure our agent will love to improve on their job, but I'm not sure they're too happy to be paying an annual fee every year that they don't have values or account for where those monies are going. But as a follow-up to the question, anyway, let me quickly ask this. Since you mentioned chambers and stuff like that, FIFA always direct members' FAs to set up chambers to resolve disputes, but that is not the reality in most African countries. As these setups, these chambers are not set up, the abuse then continue without FIFA intervening. How can this be resolved? Because it is prevalent in Africa. Or what's your take on that?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, regarding the resolution of disputes, yeah. As Luis mentioned before, since 2015, FIFA is not longer competent to hear disputes between agents and clients. This is something that I believe that the industry needs. I completely agree with you that some concerns are raised since this deregulation, and since FIFA is longer competent in order to resolve that disputes. Indeed, in my opinion, FIFA has a key role in the international transfer system because offers this dispute resolution system, for instance, for players, clubs, and so on, with the dispute resolution chamber and the players status committee. I think is one of the main tools that FIFA offer to the system. So now we want to come back to before 2015, when FIFA also decide on agents disputes. On that regard, just as you may know, we will launch the FIFA Football Tribunal. In that FIFA Football Tribunal, we will find different dispute resolution chambers with very well-known arbitrators with a lot of expertise, knowledge, in different fields. Especially, we will create this agent chamber, and this agent chamber will be composed but not only well-known arbitrators, but also we are contemplating the possibility to include some agents who have recognized expertise on the field in order to give very, very close approach to the chamber. But that being said, getting back to your point, right now, it's true, you have three options. The first one is you can go before CAS, the Court of Arbitration for Sports in Switzerland. Now it's different than before COVID-19 because you have the possibility to hold these video hearings, which in my opinion, it's cut the costs and expenses of these proceedings. But again, it's something that you should agree in your contract agreement with your client. So a specific clause should be give competence to CAS. Then we have the national dispute resolution chambers, as you said. Of course, we know that we hope that the 211 member associations have their own dispute resolution chamber, but we know that it is not the reality. And if they have it, we also need to assess, to test if it is, let's say, fair dispute resolution chamber. And third, again, you have the possibility, which I don't really like, it's to go before the ordinary courts. I don't like it because at the end of the day, the sports industry have their own particularities, their own timings, and so on. So I always prefer to go before CAS or the National Dispute Resolution Chamber or before FIFA. And with the new regulations and this new FIFA Football Tribunal, of course, before the agent chamber, which will be free, efficient, and open. So yeah, I see your point. I know that there are some concerns regarding these national dispute resolution chambers. So that's the reason, because we will create this FIFA Football Tribunal, and in particular this agent chamber. So just to conclude, to let you know that this chamber, of course, will be in charge of international disputes. And on top of that, if you want to have access to that chamber, you should comply with the reporting requirements of the regulations. So if you are requesting us to protect your interests, you should upload that contract or that agreements in our platform. If not, we will not have competence. Sorry, you are breaking.
I said thank you for
thank you. Sorry
for shedding light on those areas that I'm not so comfortable with as an observer. I'm not an agent, but agents that will react to everything you said, and they can also raise issues that they feel they want to raise on FIFA regulations on agents professionals. I'm ready, willing to find out, because I promise. Emmanuel in Yabam.
Okay, good afternoon once again, everyone. Thank you once again, Rodrigo. You've spoken at length. I am going to start from where one of the things you spoke about. The CPD. I run an orphanage, and I work with young people, and I work with children. One of the things, and I'm also, I got my coach's badge at and the first thing as a coach there, before you could even take the training, you to take the laws of minding children. So there are certain specific laws set by the British FA and the British government on how to manage the ANON. Now, I don't see why we should be as agents and we're saying, okay, to work with young people. No, it should become a specific for them. This as this fact, should not be, don't separate this cost, this CPD cost, don't separate it. Every agent should know how to work with children. If we're asking our coaches to do the same, I don't see why we should not ask agents to do the same. Having said that, a few questions come up. The liability of the insurance. Why standard practice? I'm a forex trader, and standard practice is where exchanges are done against the dollar. Of course, there are things coming up now with cryptocurrencies and all that. Why is it specifically kept in Swiss franc? Is it because FIFA is based in Switzerland, or can't this be placed in the dollar? That's an aside, but we should look at this. Again, you've answered specifically to the question of the yearly payments. I have a question on the points. We're giving 20 points per year. My younger ones both went to, they're both still in the US. They both schooled in American high schools, and you get points every year for what you are doing. Both of them play professional football in the US, but they started from college football, and they gained points by which they were able to cross over into the professional system. Now we're asking agents to take points here, but that point, at the end of 1 year, you've taken 20 points. Your cumulative is supposed to be cumulated, it continues. I mean, this should be a sort of marker to tell us, no, let's help people who want to do it know that, okay, this person has garnered so points. He has the experience, he's doing his continuing education, he's keeping up to breast with the laws. FIFA should look at that again. I'm not sure it's okay. Now I will go to, I think it's title C or so, number 13. It speaks about relationships, and 6A, read from my tablet to be specific because I don't want to quote wrongly. 1 second, okay. 13 speaks on representation specifically, and then it goes to 6A. A football agent shall only perform football agent services on behalf of one party in a transaction or negotiation subject to the sole exception below. And there's just one exception. A football agent may perform football agent services for an individual and engage an entity in the same transaction or negotiation, provided the prior explicit written consent is given by both clients. This is okay by me. But however, in my 29 years in this field, since I retired from professional football, one thing I found out is relationships matter in football. Clubs, especially club owners, you've got to build a relationship with them. Now, if I am allowed to do business on behalf of, say, a player that is coming into the club, and that club, now I'm stopped by the law to do a transfer for that club. Now, I may have had, for instance, I have a very good working relationship with the chairman of Aqua United, Elder Paul. We speak on a regular basis. We talk technically, we talk tactically about his team and the development of his team. So it goes beyond the general business of being an agent at some point. Now, when they're looking to transfer, I am restricted to doing certain things. Now, FIFA should please look again at these laws. I understand the European system because I happen to work within that system for a long while. And I know that advanced. But when you're talking about the smaller countries, not just Africa, we're talking about the minor countries in Asia, the smaller Cambodia, and all the smaller countries, and then South America, where proper standards are not set based on the international set standard. We need to look again and make sure that we set the right regulations in place. Also, in that same section, it is some because some 7 says a football agent shall not perform football services for a releasing entity and an individual in the same transactions. Trust is earned. That's my belief in business. And I do not do business with people that I cannot earn their trust. As far as I'm concerned, even the players, I connect to their families first before I even sign up the player. I want them to know that I'm protecting their child. For me, when I retired as a professional footballer, there was no pension. So I had to create a pension, and that's why I got into Forex. I tell myself, I tell their families, please, there's an option. Because if his leg breaks tomorrow, the insurance may not cover everything. And what is he going to live on? So let's prepare a after plan for that player. So I'm just giving you a picture of the activities that agents do beyond the playing transfer of a player. Now, if we're regulating them and holding them down, they should be able to earn a little more than this. Now, if I'm taking care of the player's finances and taking care of his image rights, how do I do all of this on 10% or 5%? I mean, we need to clarify certain things. Like I sent a private message to Roy and told him I wouldn't mind us to take further discussions privately. I would send him my own observations on the law with regards to Africa. I know I'm speaking on behalf of quite a number of agents because within the Association of Football Intermediaries Association of Nigeria, by the way, I am the electoral chairman of that association. Well, my tenure is up already. We don't know whether they will call me back. But we are working to make sure that within the policy, agents are working within the framework. Now, when we also making sure that there's integrity amongst our members, one of the things we're trying to do, and we've done so far, is to secure our identification system. We have a portal and a website for that. Now, if FIFA is asking us to do certain things, they should be able to bend a little, especially in Africa. There is a chamber in Nigeria, for instance, for dispute resolutions. And I'm glad that FIFA is setting up a new platform that we can actually have interactions and chamber dispute discussions between agents. That's fantastic. It's awesome movement. And also, I'm appreciative of that FIFA is setting up a platform where we can interact as agents and even connect and do further business. Now, FIFA speaks about the third party. If I'm interacting with an agent and he has a deal, I have the player, what happens to us? Is that not already a third party situation? So FIFA needs to look at this thing a little bit more. They've done well. This is a beautiful read. It's actually sending us forward in the best way possible. That's my personal take. But there are a few gray areas. And I think this is one good interaction, this meeting. And I doff my hat for Michael Shodeke for organizing this and several others that are behind Olushola and so. But we can do better. The general principles are fantastic. That's section 15. It's fantastic. But again, I think FIFA should take a little at it again. For me, I like to see cross-board a clear position. It's about a commission. It speaks about 6 T's. It speaks about hourly and daily rates and monthly rates. I'm going to give you an example why this is very important that we clarify the directions we're going within the REIT. I had a Brazilian client. He coached in Aqua United. I'm glad I'm using Aqua because I've done a lot of transactions with them. This guy was sacked. He left Nigeria without even informing me, the agent, that he was sacked. And I read in the news. He traveled and for almost a month didn't say anything. Assume that they paid him his money. He was already owing me my own fee. And I kept quiet on it. Only for him to pop back into this country with another club and within the time frame of our original contract, which was for 2 years. And the club decides to sign him. He's already had another dispute with them, only for the club to run back to me and start talking. And it is that point I find out that he has got taken up another agent and a lawyer and has gone to FIFA to make a report. It puts a slight on my person. Now, FIFA needs to be, you know, if an agent does, if a coach or player can do all these sort of things and get away with it, because he's a foreigner, he's going to get paid and compensated. The agent who's Nigerian does not get paid his fee. It's not fair. Now, that lawyer who has gone to FIFA is going to get funding. I don't want to hold us too much on these things, but there are gray areas within the reach. And I'm hoping that the next engagement that FIFA is having would invite Michael and a few of us who have a deeper insight. Because we're also trying to educate our members to say, look, you've got to dot your I's and cross your T's with players and with clubs. So there must be clear placement. Like I said, the preamble of this law, for me, it suits the player and the clubs more than us. And I think FIFA should please go and recouch that entire first, the preamble of the law. We're speaking about agency. Yes, we should focus on that. And why are we being why are there agents within the system? We already know that there's a plan to protect our young players. FIFA that shouldn't be the player, that shouldn't be the foregoing in the preamble. It already tells you that you are not part of FIFA. That's my personal take. And I hope I'll be corrected by Rodrigo, Villas-Boas, and others that are there, that if that is a wrong postulation on my part. Having said so,
yeah, Bam.
Yes, sir.
Once you mention, I will say so. We are opening another chapter.
No, I'm trying to say, having said so, I stop here because there are several agents who have other things to say.
I want you to round up. I want you to round up. Is that right? Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sure you must have touched a lot of your colleagues' mind, especially those that work within the Nigerian environment. I would like to take the mic straight to Usoiwa in Botswana now. You emphasize the ugly. I don't know whether it is the ugly or the bad, but let me hear from Usoiwa the good in these new FIFA regulations, and the bad, if you have any, to raise from the regulations, and the specifics that we've mentioned so far, and the one that Yabam added, that the close relationship with the clubs and the players that this new law is saying you don't have to have. How does all this make this profession better? And your recommendations for FIFA before they rounded up and bringing this into bear? Because I learned this is the third proposal level. Apostle Omute Unsoiwa, all right, you are on.
Okay, yeah. Thank you again for the invitation. I really appreciate that. I've learned quite a lot. I'd like to again thank for the organizers for this. I think this is a really good opportunity. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm talking to you from Dublin now, though I'm not in Botswana, but it's okay. There's quite a lot of stuff that have been covered by a lot of speakers. And I think there have been some concerns which I really can relate to in terms of how things operate, within the African market. A few speakers have touched on things like, for example, the associations themselves. You find they interfere quite a lot when it comes to, to players. Some of them, they are agents, the coaches, that they put there, they are agents and stuff. And the power of the agent is actually taken away from the people who are supposed to be dealing with players. Yes, the good thing about the FIFA rules and regulations is to improve quality. That on its own is really, really good, because one thing is that when you deal with agents, you want to make sure that as a player, your interests are represented. They're represented, and the quality of the work that is going to be put in there it's a quality. It has to be people who know what they are dealing with. They have to have proper negotiation skills and all that. However, in a lot of ways, many football agents are left behind, to FIFA, coach Luis Boas, who are there, to Tariq Yanovich, to, also Victor Rodrigo. I think let's have a look at this, really, really from another angle and see how you can help African agents to be part of the system. Some of them, they've already said that, they don't, some of them have been operating maybe for 4 or 5 years. They've not made any single transaction, but, every single time they work, tirelessly because of the passion and stuff to get, to help, the players. But at the end of it all, some of the players find themselves in big, lucrative European markets. When you look at the contribution that these agents have put into the players, development and everything, it's immense. At the end of it all, what are they getting? Absolutely nothing. The federation, the football association, they gain from this. Some other people gain from this, but not the agents, themselves. So if you are saying that you are going to be strengthening the rules and regulations to make sure that the agents are capable of dealing professionally and ethically for the interest of the clients, especially here, I would say especially the football players, then I think there has to be an incorporation of the rules and regulations of agencies being not just optional to say that, okay, a player can opt to not to have an agent. I know it might be taking away a little bit of the freedoms of the players, but at the same time, it's a loophole where you are going to get other people who are not agents, who are going to be executing the transfer of players. So in my opinion, I think you need to really look deeper and make sure that every single transaction that goes between a player and a club has been executed by someone who is professional. Because if you are saying that, the education, everyone is going to be, that competent, they're going to be adding a lot of value and they're going to be ethical, then it means that even the transactions that, they're going to be negotiating, they are supposed to be super quality. So if a player is going to negotiate, for themselves, there are so many areas where they do not know. They did not study anything about negotiations. They don't know which areas to touch to be able to get a good value for their skills. So for me, I still think that if a client is going to pay 3%, that 3%, if subtracted from their earnings, it is still going to be the total amount that they're going to get is going to be better than when the player was negotiating for himself. So really,
all right.
Yeah. So I think that loophole, I think we need to be closed, a little bit, so that we don't still find the same people who are not supposed to be dealing with players in concluding of contracts. They still continue to do so. That is maybe one of my contributions I wanted to make.
All right. Do you still have any other one?
Yeah, I think that's in terms of professional development, continuous professional development, as well. I think really and truly, once you are licensed to work on something, it means that you are capable of like you've fulfilled all the areas that you need to be working on, instead of every single year doing stuff which is maybe the same, unless you're going to tell me that there's something new that people need to learn. Then maybe that's when you can come into things like that. It is good to be knowledgeable. It is good to be updated with what is going on. But then, I think agents here are treated a little bit differently. Like every single year, you need to have to go through some education. I don't know exactly what it is because we don't know yet what it is going to be, but it is going to be benefiting. Then that is good. But the continuous testing of people, I don't know if it is going to be testing, but I assume so, if it is going to be professional development. I'm not sure if it is really at the best interest of anyone, really. Is it really education, or is it just, something, some kind of, should I call it punishment? I don't know what it is.
Yeah. All right, so I get that point. I'm sure by the time we are posting them, the FIFA representative will address that, and we'll see how it goes. I want to know if Rashid is online. If Rashid is online, then we'll go to Morocco. But if Rashid is not online, then we can take reactions from the reaction center. Then we'll go back to FIFA to round it off. Michael Sodeka, if Rashid is on, you can give Rashid the mic. Okay, Rashid is not on. All right. Okay, let's go to reaction center. If anybody is raising hands to talk, put them on. Let's have them on. Anybody in the building can be our reactors to all of the issues that have been discussed so far. If anyone is raising hands, Mike Sodeka, please give them the mic. Let's have them on.
Elliot.
So if you have Elliot.
Thank you very much. So just a very quick one. I also want to appreciate the team because the continuous development is something that is a welcome development, and I hope that FIFA will not keep it there, but we trickle it down to the football federations of every nation so that it is really implemented at a national level. We are aware that at a global level, it can sound very, very interesting, but it might not be feasible and it may not work in our own context. And I also do not wish that for that professional development, there will also be fees attached to it, because everything seems to come with a fee in this new regulation. So if that professional development is something that, okay, if you've registered and you've done what should be done, it's part of like the added value that you can get as a licensed agent. I think I would stop there, not to take so much of our time. Thank you.
All right, do you have other persons that wants to react to the issues discussed so far? If you are interested, just raise your hands. Michael Sodeka will put you on. Okay, can join us, Roberto Blanco.
Yes, maybe I can just react. Sorry, just well, in relation to what has been said about the education and the drip down effect from potential FIFA regulations into the national level, I want to include and offer you all the opportunity, well, not you all, but from the individual countries, to get into contact if you wish, and I can leave the contact details on my email behind, because we have developed, as mentioned now, workshops that we, with our members, give on a national level. So we have AFA guidelines workshops, and then on a national level, these workshops are given online to national agent associations. So if you are in the process in some countries, and I believe we have someone from Ghana here, from Botswana also, if I understood that correctly, then it would be a pleasure for us to assist you in organizing yourselves on a national level, and you will be more than welcome to be present at one of the workshops that we organize that specifically focus on the topics that have been discussed today. So if you wish, then I can leave at least some contact details behind via email, and we'll be more than willing to enter into contact with you and then discuss the possibility to organize workshops at national level as they are organized here, but then focusing on specific topics for your country, but also in how to do business in other countries, for example. So I'm free to do that. And I know that the conclusion is the good, the bad, and the ugly from the new regulation. Well, I can say something about the ugly. The ugly is the fact that from AVA perspective, we have not been very keen on the process, how it came to these regulations, because we believe, indeed, just like my colleague from Botswana has mentioned, that consultation process should involve or had involved agents more thoroughly as it did. On the other hand, the good is that it did tackle a lot of issues that we have discussed informally in the stage with FIFA before the actual consultation process took place, and that do reflect the vision of the majority of agents. So we believe that it's a good point that there are tribunals, that there's a continuous professional development, and the licensing system will reappear again. So I believe that that is the good and the bad. The bad thing is that maybe these regulations will not change the world. There will still be a situation where the agents that really want to do malpractices or want to enter into dodgy business, that they might find a way to circumvent these rules. But then again, you can never 100% make these things disappear. But I believe that with a lot of transparency and a professional approach, we will be able to tackle the problem. Well, to make a long story short, my invitation is there. If you wish to organize on a national level workshops for members of your associations, or if you want to start an association, feel free to contact us, and then we will be able to assist you in there and make you part of.
All right, Bronco Martins, Roberto, for that one. And let's take one more reactions, and we can take it back to FIFA to react to every reaction. Abdullah Issa Rugu, I can see your mic is on. Can you speak to us? Hello, Abdullah. Abdullah, are you with us? Okay, since Abdullah is not communicating. All right, let's. So they can, do you have any other person raising their hands? If you don't have one, we can go back to FIFA, right? All right, let's take it. Okay, Onoja Benedict is raising hands. I can see the hand. Hello.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, can you hear me?
Loud clear.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, clearly.
Very well.
Thank you very much. The host is the one that is going to make each and every one of us to be part of the international community. You are not just restricted to your local domain. You have to do business just alone in your local domain. But one observation I have noticed, or something I think they should look into, because I don't feel okay with that. We did not choose to make ourselves, for those of us who are intermediaries, who are not FIFA agents, we did not choose to make ourselves intermediary. The process was brought up. And in trying to reconnect us back to the old system, I think they should look at it that it is not a must that you make us go through an examination. One, being that some might not be very literate to write the examination. You should look at it that, okay, from this point of view, but this person can do a business, he can fulfill all the requirements of a business. And then two, again, some of us might be very well learned and well read and the rest of them, but exam has its own fever. Because the exams, people are definitely going to fail. Do you say when they fail out? So the exam should not be part of what should make one to qualify into the new system. Since the system is already like that, they should just incorporate us into the new system without further processes or, difficult processes for people who might not find it very easy. And then the process of paying fees, I think each and every one of us have been talking about that. The process of paying fee annually. Some of us are new into business. So you can't just expect us, now you have paid for this one, they want you to pay another one again at the expiration of this year. You pay another fee again. It's going to tell a lot on our pockets because we're just starting. You need to earn before they should look at some of these things and so many other issues. These are my own concerns, and I think they should reconsider and then look into it and see what can be done about it. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you very much. And we are posting them now. Let me bring on board the FIFA representative, and we'll go home. Luis Villas Boas, everybody has made submissions. How do you coast home?
Hello, everyone. This is Tariq speaking. I believe that Luis and Victor have unfortunately left to join another meeting.
Okay,
so
okay,
as informed,
okay,
I will, no
okay.
problem. I will try to answer some of the very good points which your colleagues have actually raised here. As I've said, we'll be making notes of all of these comments and all of these suggestions, which we will definitely take into account. So thank you very much for providing us with those. I think that if I recall correctly, Mr. Elliott and now Roberto made some very good remarks when it comes to this trickle-down effect of the education. So yes, the agent platform, which will actually host the CPD or the continuous professional education or development, is actually mostly aiming at these core aspects of the agent profession and the international aspect. But that does not mean that national associations such as the Nigerian Football Association or national agent associations cannot develop their own programs to actually educate agents on the national aspect. And I think this is something very crucial because obviously when it comes to different jurisdictions, there are different laws involved, especially when it comes to labor law, what is allowed, what is not allowed in certain jurisdictions. So in that sense, I think this is one of the solutions which will eventually help everyone involved in the transfer market to basically both be a better agent and to receive a better service as a club or a player. In that sense, I'm also going to tie in into some of the comments when it comes to allowing, or actually, if I understood correctly, stopping players from representing themselves. I think this, we also have to look in the context of labor law, where obviously players in this context are workers and should have free access to the labor market or basically signing with any club they want to. So in that sense, we also have to allow them this. Obviously, there are certain national jurisdictions which have additional levels of protection. I believe in Germany, for example, you cannot be you cannot exclusively represent someone when they are seeking a new job. So in the same sense here, you and I, we all can approach any company and apply for a job, an agent, and certain industries, for example, let's say the film industry, everybody has an agent, but at the same time, in certain, I don't know, maybe in Hollywood, you have to have an agent for a certain transaction if you want to sign up for a certain movie. But in football, you can have an agent and you don't have to have an agent at the same time. So it's really up to the clients what they want to do. So I think it's in agent's best interest to kind of provide a service which does not necessarily have to be a service which is just related to transaction. I believe that the new regulations are also accounting for these other services which are not necessarily agent services per se, but that doesn't stop agents, for example, from providing scouting advice, some sort of consultancy and so on. So in that sense, even if you have even if you have a football background or you have a legal background, you can also combine those, but at the same time, they're not tied to a particular transaction per se. So in that sense, I think that we are not looking just at the very narrow perspective of what a football agent is, but what other services can they also provide. And this is one of the many reasons why we're trying to incorporate everything into the agent platform. So just from a user perspective, and obviously this is still something that we are developing and which will have its final form once we have the final form of the regulations, of course. But we believe that it will make jobs easier for all football agents, because it will actually allow you this form of communication or interaction between agents, which some of you have called for. In that sense, a user of an agent platform who has paid their license fee and obviously is compliant with the regulations will have an opportunity to reach out to other agents, see which agents are representing which players. So if you are, for example, looking for a particular player, or your club that you're representing is looking for some particular type of player, you'll be able to reach out directly through the platform. So in that particular sense, the value of the license fee is covering that particular part of obviously maintenance of such platform. It is allowing you totally free access to CPD. So all the modules, mandatory or non-mandatory, are obviously provided for free without additional charges. And the same goes for dispute resolutions. So if there's a dispute between, for example, a Nigerian agent and a client in Togo or wherever, obviously you would go through the FIFA agent platform, where you wouldn't be required to pay any processing fee or any sort of fees to FIFA in that regard. The only cost to yourself is basically the legal representation you have in that particular case. So we believe that this particular approach will make it much more easier for agents in the future. And once again, we are not just talking about super agents or agents who are earning millions of dollars per each year, but we're also talking about agents which are dealing with markets such as Nigeria, for example. In my opinion, it's a very good market with a lot of potential. Maybe on a financial level, it's not maybe competing with the top European leagues, but I think the potential is there, and the interest is surely going to rise over the coming years. So if we try to maybe summarize all of the feedback that we've gathered here, I think, as participants, of course, because it was very, very interesting for my colleagues and myself to hear your feedback on this. I think we have a lot to think about, a lot or actually many good ideas to take into account. Obviously, we're always open to receive your written feedback as well. You can reach out to us to agentsdepartment@fifa.org. That is our email address, where we're always looking forward to any sort of feedback or comments you may have. In that regard, we remain thankful for everything you've shared with us here. I think that the particular perspective that you are building here is very interesting, because it allows us to see the different perspective. Because, for example, when we are discussing about Africa, the usual narrative around the world will usually just tackle youth players who are leaving, for example, Nigeria and leaving to Europe. But at the same time, there are obviously many more aspects to that particular market, such as, for example, that you've mentioned, academies, professional players playing in Nigeria, professional players who do not necessarily move to Europe, but move to other African countries, and all the issues that are actually faced there. So in that sense, I think, at least from our perspective, this was a very fruitful exchange. And I invite you all to reach out to us if you have any further comments. And I wish all the best to the Nigerian Football Agents Association and EFA in this regard, as they are working towards educating agents and intermediaries in this regard, because I think this is a fantastic project. So thank you very much once again.
Thank you very much, but don't go yet. We still have a lot of reactors raising their hands. I can see Peter Paleologos. He has been raising hands since. And I'll mute your mic. Let's have your contribution. I see Eddie as well as Global Skills. We can quickly take everyone in quick succession.
I'll be very quick. The good, the bad, the ugly from maybe the Australian Asian perspective, but obviously we're talking more about Africa. Some interesting things in the regulations. One that I don't think we mentioned much was the regulation that protects agents who've got a contract with the player, and other agents cannot approach that player up until the last 2 months. I think that's a very positive, a good regulation, where we hear a lot about it in England, where other agents tap up players. So that's a very good regulation as well. I like the fact that everyone's mentioned CPD points, but also the obligations and duties of agents are set out, which is very important. The clearinghouse, another good move, I think, because it will control a lot of the flow of funds, and also the platform. FIFA mentioned the platform. I'm hoping that they're going to have info sheets, checklists, because if you look at the regulations that they're drafted, from an agent's point of view, anyone doing deals, there's a lot of compliance. So there has to be guidance about what needs to be lodged, how it's going to be done. A bit like the TMS system when you do transfers, we've got to have the right guidance. Professional indemnity insurance is going to be an interesting one. I think it's necessary, but in some countries, very hard to get. In terms of improvements, in terms of the contract itself, I think it was mentioned that in Germany you can't have exclusivity, but that's something that a lot of agents do want in a contract. And also a clause should be compulsory about dispute resolution. Finally, there's one clause that I really want to focus on. It's 21.2, and I don't think anyone's discussed this. I would call it the ugly clause, being agents being joint and several liable for inducing a breach of contract by a player. Now, this is very onerous for agents, and I think we need to have from FIFA more detail and clarity around that. So I said I'll be brief. They're just some of the other interesting regulations that we good, bad, and ugly. Thank you.
All right, Eddie, you can have your mic on. Eddie Obemudia from Nigeria. Let's have you on. Okay. Is Eddie willing? Okay, it seems Eddie is not online. Let's go to Iyabam Emmanuel. I can see yours as well. And Global Skills. Moderator, you can give us the mic for any one of them.
Good afternoon, once again. I raised my hand to speak about the prohibited conduct, subsection 21, section 21. And my dear friend from Australia, Peter, has already said that, so there's no need to. I was about to drop my hand when you called me. But let me mention as I part that the president of the board of trustees of the FIFA Intermediaries Association of Nigeria, Salisu Mustafa, is on this program right now too. Thank you, sir.
All right, you are welcome on board, Mustafa, and we appreciate the fact that you joined us. And I'm really happy to have you on board sincerely. Global Skills, are you ready to speak now? I can see your hands up. Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic. We couldn't hear anything from your end. All right, you are on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you are on now.
Oh, okay, well done.
You are on.
Thank you very much for having me. And I really appreciate the organizer of this event. Kudos to Mr. Shodeke and others. The area I'm coming from is, I would like to put it straight to the FIFA officials. If they can let us know what is our gain. If we try all our best to stand in for these players, since you told us that you really want to protect the players, it's fine. But it won't be a good practice to devalue or reduce the value of the agent in the process. In the situation whereby agents have worked so hard to try to push one player within 4 or 5 years, and at the end of the day, there's an issue during the process. What is our own gain? What's our benefit that we're supposed to be getting from, whether from our federation or people directly, even if we don't have chance to transfer a player for many years, what can we gain? At least to see the reason why we are paying for annual dues and the licensing fee. Thank you very much. Without wasting your time.
All right, let's have Eddie contribution if Eddie is willing to talk now. Okay, Philip Amulu is also waving his hand. Hello, Eddie, you are on board.
Yeah, good afternoon all. I just wanted to react to what Benedict said when he said that it's not right for the agent to go through examination process. I think that is very wrong, because for you to join any professional body, they need to test your competency as if you are abreast with the regulations that guides the profession. So the FIFA regulation stated that we must pass through an exam before we can be given a license. It's very, very good. It's a welcome development, because we have a lot of people, they are parading their licenses that they are registered as intermediary, and they don't know the regulations as it relates to the business. You can even see them, they will have cases whereby they will run away with players' earnings and some income due to players. There are a lot of things that happen. It's very important to take the test. I think that's just my little contribution. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. And Philip Amulu is also waving hands. You can unmute your mic and let's have your voice.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody.
You are on.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for the opportunity to say something. Okay, quickly, I wanted to ask, because it hasn't been funny practicing here in Nigeria. I wanted to ask or to make a suggestion. Is it possible for FIFA to make it mandatory for only licensed agents to conclude contracts? I mean that's it's a question and a suggestion. And then when that happens, can there be like sanctions to clubs who decide to do otherwise? That's to allow non-licensed agents to conclude contracts. And because obviously FIFA cannot sanction individuals that are not licensed by them. So they have the players, they have the agents, and then the clubs. So is it possible? This is just me asking. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. I can also see global skills with another wave of hand. Do you have something different I want to share this time? You can unmute your mic, let's have you. Global skills.
Oh, okay, sorry. I forgot to ask this one. It's very important to know. Is it possible also for the FIFA to make sure, it's like the same question this my friend Mr. Philip had. So I need to make sure that agents is under most that players must work with agents. Because if we leave an option for that, since we are calling ourselves a registered agent or something, since we are registered, I think it's very easy for us to instead of giving option that a player can work on themselves or something. I think if they can look into that, I think at least we'll be happy to work more and to work with the professionals. Thank you very much.
All right. I think it is good for us to go back to FIFA so that those questions be answered. We have like 3 or 4 questions, and everything bordering on players representing themselves and taking of CPD and development every year. and you are not going to be earning more than 20%, and all of those that have been raised. But there is a clause in that new regulations that says parents cannot represent, or relations cannot represent players again. And then another one that global skills talk about, that what is there for the agent to gain, even though this is to protect the players, is practically asking, how are you protecting the agent as well? That can you stop non-registered agent from participating in contract agreement and getting a deal over the line? So I don't know which of the FIFA representatives still online. I think Tariq can still help us out with those questions.
Okay, yes, thank you very much. I think that's actually a very good point, because both you and Mr. Philip raised this issue of non-licensed agents being involved in these transactions. So yes, the main idea that we are developing together, actually from the start of the regulations, is just to allow licensed agents to be involved in these transactions, because once again, everything will go through the FIFA agent platform and the FIFA clearinghouse, which means that only those who possess a valid FIFA license can actually even be remunerated for the work they're doing. So in practical terms, if an agent is representing, let's say, a player, and that particular player signs a professional contract somewhere, then FIFA is developing what is currently called as the client pays model. So technically, the player who is being representing is paying the agent through the FIFA clearinghouse. So the money goes to the clearinghouse, and obviously then it goes to the agent. And obviously it works in various different combinations. So in the sense of being non-licensed and representing an agent, representing a client, let's say a player, obviously this is not something which would be in accordance with the new regulations currently being developed. So we are only pushing the license at the forefront, and obviously this would apply both for international transactions and domestic transactions. There should only be just one FIFA license. So in that particular sense, yes, there would be sanctions, or there will be sanctions against those players, clubs, whatever, which do not use the services of licensed agents. So if someone is claiming to be an agent and they're not, obviously they're not going to be in the agent platform, which is going to be transparent and open to everyone. So we intend to publish and release all of that key information: who is a licensed agent, which particular clients do they represent, which transactions they were involved in. So we intend to increase the level of transparency by sharing that information with the public. So even if you are, let's say, a journalist or a regular football fan, you should be able to see that key information in the agent platform or at FIFA.com or anywhere else. However, this second layer of the FIFA agent platform is reserved purely for the agents who have the valid license. When it comes to the CPD, which is something that we keep touching upon when it comes to the agent platform, yes, we're talking about now 40, 20 credits. Obviously, once again, those numbers or credits are not set in stone. It can be 15, it can be 35. Those are just the values we're at right now. So it is similar to what you have in, I suppose, most universities around the world, where you would have certain courses, and each course is valid for, let's say, 5 points or 5 credits. So each agent should be able to combine certain modules, so to speak. So let's say 4 modules worth 5 points or 5 credits each to fulfill a particular number which is needed, let's say 20 or 40 or 50, it doesn't matter. Obviously, the numbers are going to be discussed later for this particular thing. So I suppose that each agent should choose what is the most important part of this particular development, what is the most important part for them. For example, if you remember that at the beginning we mentioned this mandatory course for those individuals who would like to work with minor players. So everyone can take the course to work with minor players. But unless you have passed this particular course, that you are now educated to deal with these young people who have their own specificities, and obviously it's a very sensitive issue when you're dealing with a player who is 15, 16, 17 years old, and obviously it depends whether or not that particular player can sign a professional contract, because the situation is not going to be the same in Scotland, in Nigeria, in China. Obviously, you have to take the national labor law into account of that player's particular domicile. So I'm not at this particular moment sure what is the minimum level or the minimum age in Nigeria, but obviously that would have to be taken into account. So in that sense, everyone can take the particular course, which is mandatory for those who want to conclude such a transaction, because if you do not have that particular CPD completed, so to say, the platform itself or the system will not allow you to process that particular transaction, because it's a deterrent. Yes, we are trying to educate those who are dealing with such sensitive issues. But once again, at the same time, this does not mean that the Nigerian Football Federation or your agent association cannot do an equivalent national level program, which will obviously not be mandatory from our perspective, but to further educate those agents willing or interested to be involved in those kinds of transactions. When it comes to minimum standards involving parents, yes, that is also one of the difficulties or one of the issues that we've, through our investigation and through our research, which we have identified as a weakness with the current intermediary system, because right now, many young players will be represented by their own parents, which with the best intentions, obviously, in being involved there, sometimes just do not possess the knowledge of the transfer system and of the football world as a whole to actually represent the best interests of such a player, especially if we're talking about transfers which are multi-million deals. And if you have just a parent looking out for their child, sometimes it's not the best solution for that particular player or a minor player, even so. So in that sense, a licensed agent now takes the place of a parent. So obviously, if we're talking about minors, for example, still a representation agreement would have to be co-signed by that parent's guardian, such as the case right now. But at the same time, if you exclude, or if we are looking to exclude parents, I believe that we are kind of creating a bigger market for the agents themselves, because the agents are the ones who are investing in becoming licensed in the first place, paying the annual fee. If you have a particular agency, you are the ones who are paying the bills throughout the year to keep that agency afloat. And we believe it's only fair then if you are the ones who are investing so much time, effort, and money into being a professional football agent, that you should be the ones who are actually the most qualified to represent clients in football transactions. So at least from what I have here, I think that I've managed at least partly to answer some of the questions that have been asked here. So if there are any others, please let me know. Thank you.
All right, thank you. There will be many others, but I'm afraid we cannot go further than this. Help us with the email address so that we can send questions. And individuals can also send questions to you before we round up. The email address, we can bring questions on board so that you guys can consider to adopt these new regulations finally.
Yes, it's agentsdepartment@fifa.org, where the department can be easily reached, but I will put it in the chat as well. So obviously we are dealing with the intermediary system right now, and we are the team, which is one of the many teams which is involved in the development of these regulations, but always we are transparent about what we do and what are our kind of next steps. But so I will type in the address of the department in the chat box. So as always, we are always there to provide any feedback or listen to your feedback and comments. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you very, very much. Let me bring up Michael Shodeke, and maybe he can do the favor of vote of thanks. Mike, on your mic, let's thank all our contributors.
Yeah, let me first of all appreciate everyone for your time your contribution and your submission. I really appreciate you, and I want you to know that in due course we will have more time to discuss more issues concerning football agents in Africa. And to react to what someone had said earlier about having a central voice in Africa, I mean, maybe Africa Football Agents Association, we will work towards that. We use some of my contact too to make sure we have that in few months' time. And also to the IFA, if you have an association in your country, I mean, maybe like we have in Nigeria, you can affiliate your association with European Football Agent Association too. It's a central, the IFA is a central association in Europe where association from Australia, like Peter. Peter is the president of Australia Football Agent Association, and Australia Association is part of IFA. Brazil is part of FIFA. Japan is part of FIFA. Nigeria is part of IFA. So from there, we can all work together to find out a possible solution to this agent and Palala. Also, to the moderator, I appreciate you. Moran Toiwa from Botswana, who reside in Dublin. I appreciate you. Benedict Onoja, Peter Paleologos from Australia, Roberto Branco Martins from Netherlands, Naret from Latvia, and all FIA members and all agents in Nigeria. I say thank you all. Barrister Kerele, thank you. Michael Asoku, thank you. Ahmed Rufai, Smith Abiola Bayo, Ahmad Shehu, thank you. And to our guest, the guest of honor, FIFA representative, Victor Rodrigo, Villas Boas, and Tariq Anjanovic. I say thank you. And make sure you take note of our submission properly and give us a laudable regulations. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you, the host, Ambassador Michael Sudeke, the CEO and Fiddling Sports, and for this wonderful edition of another sports virtual debate. And I'm sure by the time we come for the next one, everybody will have another interesting and educative topic to discuss on. I can assure you that I've learned a lot today, and I'm beginning to consider taking up the work of an agent. Now I'll start reading and waiting for the FIFA examination to be part of this big, great family. Thank you for coming on board. I've really enjoyed myself from the masters that every one of you are. Bye for now.
Do have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone. My friend from Botswana, friend from Morocco, friend from Kenya. Thank you so much for being on board with us. God bless you more.